I wonder, 1,000 years from now, will anthropologists discover a connection between our angsts and our celebrations? Are potlucks and Secret Santa traditions indicators of harder economic times? Or how about the past? Why is it that all Christmas traditions always involve scaring kids into good behavior, or some mythical figure flying over or even breaking into your home? Do we maintain these fairy tales purely for utilitarian purposes? Or is the maintaining of Christmas spirit truly a matter of life or death? Yeah, 1 second. Are you gonna take long? I'm expecting guests. Can you hold your horses? I'm trying to find the right tool. Whatever, Guido. My name is Clarence. Well, this was a fun surprise. A Home Safety Hotline expansion pack. I want to first thank Night Signal Entertainment for giving me a Steam key to access this game earlier. Big thank you. As always, I recommend that you play the game yourself. The Home Safety Hotline Seasonal Worker DLC is your opportunity to get that first time experience all over again, or for the first time if you haven't played the base game, featuring Christmas themed variants of previous entries and new ones altogether, and also the consequence calls those come with. This video is essentially going to be piggybacking off the first video, so highly recommend that you watch that first if you haven't already. If you already have seen the first video, if I ever have to remind you of any details from that game, I'll make sure to make those notes. Now, let's get festive, Home Safety Hotline style. We can access the Seasonal Worker DLC through the main menu, essentially taking us to a game within the game. First, I want to note the bangin' 12 Days of Christmas remix to the menu theme. It's just a really nice touch. We're going to see a lot of these sort of Christmasified remixes to the hold themes. Now, if you notice, the original gameplay takes place on April of 1996, so our DLC takes place after the events of the base game, the Christmas of that same year. Also, instead of a new user placeholder with just a random number, we have a bona fide employee identity, Rebecca. And of course, instead of the green pasture background, we have the tip of a snowy mountain. Festive. Sadly, I couldn't find any desktop themes, but no worries, I'll still color code Righty as the festive red. Hi, I'm Righty, and Rongi as a ghoulish green. But FP, he died in the last video. One moment. I'm alive! Bitch. What's with the Frankenstein getup? It's Christmas. What's wrong with you? Well, the DLC is Christmas themed, but this video is uploading in October. Might as well give it a Halloween twist. And after all, I died in the last video. It's thematic. Assuming you've already seen the first video, you already know that although the goal of the game is to make correct diagnoses of various home safety hazards, quite a bit of the world building and fun details to the bestiary are hidden behind getting the answers wrong, through the consequence calls. So what you'll be seeing is essentially the correct gameplay woven with the incorrect gameplay. For ease of game footage capture, I'll be playing with the cheats on. Now, let's first check our emails. Home Safety Hotline Corporate, welcome back. Rebecca, all of us here at Home Safety Hotline are ever grateful for your annual service during one of our busiest and most vital work weeks. While we only get to experience your talents for 1 week every year, we just want you to know that you are highly valued here and an important member of the Home Safety Hotline family. Best of luck this year, Rebecca. We're all counting on you. Best. Home Safety Hotline Corporate. Of course. After all, the DLC title is Seasonal Worker, but it seems our Rebecca is a renowned seasonal worker, at least within the industry. Hopefully we can fill in her shoes with home safety accuracy. As of right now, I'm not aware of any significance to the DLC worker being a named character. Perhaps this is because either ending to the main game either ends in our mouseification in the game over or promotion to the undersoil. It wouldn't make sense for the employee we play as in the base game to still be around in the DLC. From Rodney. Rebecca! Dog, I heard you were back in the office today. You weren't gonna forget about coming to say hi to your best pal Rodney from IT, are ya? I know you wouldn't dare forget. Remember, I got serious dirt on you, dog. Some of us actually remember last year's Christmas party. Anyways, glad to have you back. See you around. Rodney. So instead of the doomed mouse Michael, we now have a gregarious Rodney as our home safety comrade. Based on his memories of last year's seasonal work, he too is likely a good worker and won't suffer the same fate as poor Michael. As far as I know, there are no Rebeccas or Rodneys mentioned in the base game, so as far as I know, these are purely original characters. Don't steal. We've got one more very brief email. Home Safety Hotline Observatory. Daily Twilight Report, December 22nd, 1996. Phenomenon first sighted in Nunavut at approximately 0400 hours. Estimated proximity is around 300,000 miles. Current risk profile, low to moderate. We don't know much about the Twilight just yet, but might as well note that Home Safety Hotline is tracking its movements and risk levels. At this early point in our seasonal stint, this Twilight anomaly is above Nunavut, a part of Canada where it is possible to see northern lights. But something tells me the Twilight is not to be confused with such picturesque phenomenon. And so this will be the framing of our story in this DLC. Not so much a real estate horror, but a sort of space Grinch. That's all I'll say for now. Stay festive, and keep this in mind. It's Christmas. What's wrong with you? Now, let's start our first shift. It's 3 days from Christmas, and we have access to a bunch of new winter-themed hazards. First, though, we get a call from Carol.
It is I, Carol. It is good to have you back in our employ, Rebecca. Thou art a lifesaver every season, and thy yearly return is appreciated as always. I, of course, have no need to tell you how things work here, but I will remind you that we are hosting our annual office Christmas party again the day after Christmas. It would please me to see you there. We're all counting on you, Rebecca.
I'm loving the wreath, headdress, and hair, a sort of Christmas twist to her druidic nature. She's not only a Carol, but a Christmas. She's Christmas Carol. It's Christmas. What's wrong with you? We'll be seeing more of Christmas the Carol soon. Let's go ahead and get our Christmas knowledge up. Let's start off with some of the more mundane home safety hazards. Avalanches. Avalanches are large quantities of rapidly moving snow, usually occurring in steep, sloped environments such as mountains or hills. Homeowners experiencing an avalanche often report shaking, thunderous sounds coming from above, or sudden burials. Danger. Avalanches are highly dangerous to most mammals or humans caught in their wake, as direct impact will often instantly crush or maim soft-bodied creatures. Avalanches can also quickly bury or blockade entrances or windows to a home, burying those inside and potentially leading to asphyxiation. Solution. At the first sign of an avalanche, homeowners are advised to stay indoors, preferably away from windows, and wait for the avalanche to pass. If buried, homeowners are advised to make contact if possible and await rescue. Homeowners can increase their chances of survival by refraining from burning away precious oxygen via starting fires or screaming. That last part, warning against screaming to prevent the wasting of oxygen, is such a grim detail. But nonetheless, this is an otherwise mundane hazard that will have to weigh against some of our more weird options. Sinking foundation. Sinking foundations are structural problems in a home's foundation with a wide variety of causes that can lead to homes becoming damaged over time, or eventually sinking and collapsing entirely. Homeowners experiencing sinking foundations often report cracks in walls or ceilings, uneven floors, or drains not working properly. Danger. Sinking foundations present a severe and mortal danger to both a home and its inhabitants, as their instability and eventual collapse can cause a wide variety of hazardous situations to those entrapped within. Solution. Homeowners with sinking foundations are highly advised to immediately utilize Home Safety Hotline's foundation repair services to prevent further damage or collapse, though situations may vary depending on the root cause. So, Home Safety Hotline has foundation repair services.
You want the Josh?
They did whatever it took to get the Josh.
And now let's stick our toes into something weird and cold. Snow golems. I find it amusing that their heads kind of look like those Capcom surf bots. Snow golems are large, humanoid mounds of snow that are capable of moving on their own. Homeowners experiencing snow golem infestations commonly report wet floors, power outages, recently faulty or broken heaters, or strange snow formations outside their home. Danger. Snow golems can prove hazardous to humans in a variety of ways. Their tendency to target home heaters, especially during hazardous freezing weather, can cause medical issues such as frostbite or hypothermia in the affected homeowner. Direct contact with a snow golem while it's in pursuit of its target is also frequently fatal. Solution. When caught early, snow golems can be simply removed from a home by turning up the heat in a home to speed up their melting process and blocking easy access to home heaters or fireplaces. If snow golems succeed in removing potential heat sources from a home, it is highly advised to utilize Home Safety Hotline's pest control services. Now, one thing I hope to do better in this video compared to the previous one is making notes of what these weirder hazards could be referencing. What real-world traditions or folk tales have the good folks at Night Signal Entertainment cryptidified, SCP-ified, home safetified? That's better. I like that. It's Christmas. What's wrong with you? So snow golems are obviously a reference to the still alive winter tradition of crafting snowmen. However, in this case, as we'll find in many of these entries, they are big fans of home invasion. You know what? This video is probably going to be light in the whiteboard department, so might as well take this as an opportunity to chart out some of these home invading hazards. After all, it's Christmas. What's wrong with you? We're interrupted in our silent reading time by a caller. Let's see what they need.
Our lights keep flickering off, and we're trying to get our Christmas tree ready for when our folks arrive.
Flickering lights. Is lamp sprite, maybe? Maybe the propensity for wood reveals a pyrotechnic aspect. Oh, maybe our first caller is something more major, more sinister, like a boggart. Electrical issues, and the tree could serve as proper kindling for the boggart's famed house fire mischief. Boggart. Final answer. We haven't even read enough entries yet to come up with an educated guess. That's right. Remember, just because our caller is on hold doesn't mean we're on a timer. We can read through as much as we need to. Now, Rongi, you were onto something there. The focus on the tree. Now, check out this entry. Pine sprites. Pine sprites are a small green subspecies of sprite known for inhabiting pine trees. Homeowners with pine sprites often report rustling sounds or finding pine needles and sap in strange places. Danger. Pine sprites are harmless if left to their own devices, though their behavior can turn hazardous if their home is disturbed. They have been known to sometimes cause fires or electrical shortages when electrical devices such as lights are introduced into their homes. Solution. Pine sprites keep their chosen homes for the entire 160 to 180 year lifespans, so it is advised to avoid disturbing them by refraining from decorating any trees they've inhabited. Homeowners may also choose to safely relocate an inhabited tree away from their home by utilizing Home Safety Hotline's pest control services. Okay, pine sprite. Final answer. As it turns out, that is the correct answer. If we chose any options other than pine sprite, we get this consequence call.
Our tree still isn't lighting up properly, I'm afraid. The info you sent didn't seem to, work. In fact, the tree actually caught fire, so, I guess we're doing without that this year. Anyway, just thought I'd let you know.
Not too far off with the house fire intuition, Rongi. But while we're here, let's go ahead and chart out some of the entries that we'll be getting introduced to in the DLC that fit into the pre-existing categories. We can welcome the woodland cousin pine sprite to the overall sprite category. It now feels more complete. Strangely enough, within the entry of the pine sprite, there is no mention of the Fey Flu. Oh, speaking of which, let me go ahead and introduce you to some of these categories. Down here in the lower left corner, we've got the pathology category. We already have the Fey Flu and the unicorn fungi. We also have some expansion into the warlock lore. This right here is depicted the warlock remnant, the ghost of a long dead warlock haunting you through your mirrors. We also have a slight expansion on the metamorphosis hazard category. You all know that hobs naturally become boggarts, but there's something interesting that can happen to a boggart that we'll be exploring in this DLC. We'll be introducing two cousins to the Wisp category. From the base game, we have the Memory Wisp and the Night Wisp. And over here, it's not so much a family, but more a false fellowship. Of all the hazards with the false categorization, we got the false beat, false rosebush, which I forgot to chart in my previous video, false flowers, and the false artifact. I do want to note that since we got the call wrong, of course, in our incorrect playthrough, we can see the cheer levels go down with a satisfying green and red neon effect. So cheer levels are a sort of metric that's measured, and that makes sense. If you remember, Gerald in his consequence call laments going this season without a festive tree to decorate his home. So this would be a big blow to the cheer levels of his house. Let's get into some more pathological hazards. Red nose. Red nose is a seasonal illness characterized by the primary symptom of a red berry-like growth emerging from the mammalian proboscis. It most commonly occurs in wild animals, but can be transferred to humans via the spore it releases once blossomed. Danger. Red nose, while painful during the growth stage, is generally harmless to humans and animals alike, with proper rest and care. Solution. Red nose will go away on its own after it has blossomed. To prevent red nose from spreading, it is advised to quarantine the affected individual until blossoming has passed. A sort of mammalian cordyceps, just without the mind control. At best case scenario, it seems to be just a cosmetic problem. Worst case scenario, a painful nuisance. We'll go ahead and mark this in our pathology category. Just like the unicorn fungi, the red nose syndrome is a fungal infection. Also, this is a reference to the traditional song and story of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, a cute story about not judging people for being different. After all, it's our differences that make us shine, literally in the case of Rudolph's big, bright red nose. Antler growths. Antler growths are a family of fungi known for growing in tall, antler-like arrangements, most often seen growing on decomposing humans or mammals. Sufficiently large growths can often induce or get in the way of motor movement in their hosts. Danger. Antler growths are not dangerous on their own, but the movements they induce in their chosen hosts can often result in hazardous behavior towards living creatures in its vicinity, such as clawing, grabbing, or biting. Solution. To prevent antler growths from occurring during decomposition, it is advised to burn the remains of the deceased or to otherwise bury the deceased at least 6 feet beneath the soil to ensure maximum safety from potential hazardous behaviors. So another fungal infection. I guess it makes sense. Coming off the heels of the base game, you're already very aware that there's this very fey, druidic, toadstooly style to this overarching design of this game's hazards. Not all of them, but many of them. Of course, this is another pathological hazard, and one that I might say is quite brutal. Imagine wisdom teeth, but all over. Ugh! I think this might be a combining of a fungal reimagining of the chronic wasting disease, a heartbreaking malady that afflicts deers. In our world, it's a spongiform neurological prion, and prions are a fucking nightmare phenomenon. Like, I can wrap my head around bacteria, a fungus, a virus even, but prions are like glitches in protein, and they're always associated with very, enigmatic and brutal diseases like mad cow, kuru, or this aforementioned chronic wasting disease. Sorry, I brought down the mood. It's Christmas. What's wrong with you? Cloch. Cloch are large circular stone formations known to appear around homes during the winter. Homeowners with cloch often report clear skies, a feeling of instability, and sinking. Danger. Cloch are highly hazardous to homes and their inhabitants, as the ground in the center of the formation will gradually sink lower until a deep pit is formed, damaging a home's foundation in the process and preventing homeowners from leaving. Solution. Homeowners wishing to prevent damage to their home are advised to seek the aid of the ones conducting the cloch, bringing either an offering of gold or their firstborn child. If no negotiations are possible, it is advised to vacate the home as soon as possible. Now, I'm aware of a few pronunciations, cloch, cloch, and cloch, but you'll come to find out I love just calling it cloche. Now, the tradition that this is possibly referencing is the Standing Stone, or Clochfamore. A popular cloch story is the Clochfamore of Cuchulainn. It's a badass story of a legendary hero, I'm thinking he's pronounced Cuchulainn, and how he fought his last stance against a plurality of enemies, with his back pinned against this Clochfamore. But, of course, in this world, clochs are a not-so-natural phenomenon. The solution of the entries implies that there are people who operate the cloch, and the only two gifts they will take are firstborns and gold. The demanding of firstborns seems sinister, but could the operators of the cloch be looking for the next Farmore to dedicate their cloch to? A legendary hero? Something to think about. Okay, now I'm going to start pronouncing it as cloche. Also, apologies if I mispronounce Cuchulainn's name wrong. I could have just been a bastard and just called him Culiacan. Who's your favorite Irish hero? Culiacan? We get another... Ah!
Huge! I saw it scurry into the cupboard. Expect for more. Send someone over quickly.
Jeez. And by the way she screamed, it could be something truly otherworldly. Maybe a desk hob? Ooh, a dwarf. Now that sounds fun. But it has to be desk hob. It scurried into her cabinet, and a cabinet is like a desk, you know, with its aspect ratio flipped around. So, desk hob. Should I be concerned? Because I kind of follow your logic. But no, this can't be a desk hob because they love to organize papers. Ultimately, a cabinet does not fulfill their ideal habitat. I think this is just a simple mouse problem. We can even hear it in the call. Let's not replay it to spare our ears. Mouse is the correct answer. If we select anything except mice, we get this consequence call. I don't like Janet. She's really f***ing with my Christmas vibes. Okay, that's better. I notice in her consequence call there's like an ungodly amount of mice. This might be foreshadowing something that'll come later in our shift.
I think some kids are building some forts on our property. I'm looking at a bunch of big tall mounds outside our house, just coming from about every angle. I need someone to come and take these down for me. I'd do it myself, but I'm currently recovering from a back injury after slipping on something wet in my living room this morning.
Please hold.
I'm looking through the entry list. I'm not finding any sciatica hobs or thoracic outlet basilisks. Did they remove that from our entry list? Those never were entries. But you're right, there are some entries missing, probably to make gameplay, our shifts, a lot less overwhelming. Hold on. You're all hung up about the back pain. What? No, you are! When the big hint is the forts. She has a cloche problem. What? I don't know, maybe? Trust me, Righty. I had a buddy in Colchester, Connecticut who had a clothing store with a cloche problem. He had to close down. She's probably identifying snow forts. Combine this with the puddles of water she's dealing with, it's most likely a snow golem plaguing this home. Snow golem. Final answer. The correct answer is the snow golems. Before we get into this consequence call, if you've been consistently getting answers wrong, you would get this warning from Christmas the Carol.
Heed this warning, Rebecca. You know, as well as I, the potential consequences of failure during this time. But perhaps this reminder may serve to further stoke thy fire. Please, for all our sakes, answer future calls with careful consideration of the cost we all pay, Rebecca.
Fascinating. It seems that compared to the base game's warning, this one is more coming from a place of existential threat. Before, it seemed just our position was at risk, but here it seems there are cataclysmic implications to our failures. Curious. Let's go ahead and listen to that snow golem consequence call.
They got inside. They're coming for me. Send help, please.
Chilling, no pun intended. It seems even if the household were to survive the onslaught of snow golem attacks, their house would be in such a state of disrepair that they would be in danger of overexposure to the cold. Let's continue to educate ourselves on the rest of these hazards. We've already talked about boggarts in our previous video, but what about the forgotten boggart? Forgotten boggarts are a wild roaming subspecies of boggart that are untethered from memory. They are known to dwell in uninhabited outdoor locations such as forests or mountains until they find new homes with those that are capable of witnessing and discussing them. Homeowners that have attracted a forgotten boggart often report strange sightings and an obsession with discovery. Danger. Forgotten boggarts are harmless to those unaware or indifferent to their existence, but they are at risk of inhabiting the homes of those with an interest in discovering them and discussing them, thereby increasing the risk of hazardous activity such as flooding, fires, or electric outages. Solution. It is advised homeowners do not dwell on the possibility of nearby forgotten boggarts, any forgotten boggart sightings, or on any thoughts of forgotten boggarts, to prevent them from inhabiting one's home. Never speak of a forgotten boggart. If you remember, hobs, when bothered, would transform into boggarts. They'd go from helpful, cleaning little beasties to deadly, enigmatic forces of nature. Catching a glimpse of a boggart marks you for death. Giving it a name, referring to it by any pronoun, is a death sentence. But what happens when the boggart kills that who witnesses it? What if the household that it's infecting moves out before even being aware of it? It removes any sort of chance of being perceived, of being known, and so it becomes a forgotten boggart, wandering, hoping to one day be witnessed again, referred to again. Further confirming this is a mimetic force of nature. On its face, this hazard seems reminiscent of Bigfoot. However, boggarts are an actual folk beast. The actual terminology for boggarts, hobs, goblins, hobgoblins, and whatnot tend to all be, at least from my perspective, quite nebulous, borrowing from each other, there being a lot of overlap. You start to find more uniqueness not in the different titles, but in the different regional variants of the folklore. And we'll come back to this Bigfoot-like detail later, though. The Mountain Warlock. Mountain warlocks are humanoid creatures resembling elderly human men. They are known to lie dormant in their high elevation domains until the winter solstice. Upon waking, their thunderous vocalizations can be heard for miles around. Homeowners affected by the mountain warlocks often report echoes, rumbling, shaking, or occasionally avalanches. Danger. Mountain warlocks are highly territorial and pose a direct mortal danger to any humans or animals that settle or wander near their domain. Their earth-shaking incantations can additionally cause severe damage to a home's foundation. Solution. Mountain warlocks cannot be safely removed by human force, but due to their severely dangerous presence, it is highly advised that homeowners utilize Home Safety Hotline's pest control services as soon as possible. Very cool. We have some expansion to the Warlock tree. If you remember, in the base game, all we had Warlock related was the Warlock Remnant, responsible for poltergeist-like hijinks. But now we have a Warlock in the flesh at their full corporeal power, capable of sending avalanches down from the mountains they dwell within. Sugar Wisps. Sugar Wisps are an invisible subspecies of wisp known for its sweet plum-like aroma and its ability to influence the dreams and appetites of humans. Homeowners afflicted by sugar wisps often report an intense craving for sweets, dreams of dancing orbs, and malnourishment. Danger. Sugar wisps can be quite hazardous to humans' health, thanks to their influence on their victims' preferred diet. Sustained exposure to sugar wisps can lead to mild or severe medical problems, ranging from tooth decay, diabetes, or starvation. Solution. Sugar wisps can be dissuaded from influencing their chosen victims by blocking access to their victim's sense of smell. Homeowners are advised to utilize nose plugs or a similar apparatus while they sleep until a sugar wisp eventually departs on its own. The plum-like smell makes me wonder if these are somehow a reference or vaguely inspired off the Sugar Plum Fairy, a major character in the Nutcracker Ballet. Also, I find it fascinating that it would lead to starvation, given that its big symptom is a voracious craving for sugar. Geez, now that I really put two and two together, if the victim of a Sugar Plum Fairy were to eat so much sugar, it would debilitate them to the point where they literally couldn't move. Their muscles would atrophy, their energy levels would just plummet, and you would just sort of die from natural starvation just because you can't get to any food, even sugar. Brutal, brutal. Listen, Christmas, Halloween, all the holidays, great excuse for eating sugar, but you still gotta have your vitamins, proteins, fats, and whatnot. It's Christmas. Well, now we can go ahead and welcome another addition to the Wisp family, the Sugar Wisp. A uniting theme of all the Wisps in Home Safety Hotline is this concept of, if not mind control, mind alteration. In this case, some sort of halfway point, the instilling of sugary cravings. Just to give a brief refresher, the night wisps would tempt homeowners from their bed at night, whispering promises of treasures and riches and stuff like that, to get them to approach their windows or approach the light that the night wisps would give off. The memory wisps, while not deadly, would alter the minds of their victims so that they can't see the face of a specific loved one, neither in the flesh on pictures or video, or even I think in the mind's eye. Brutal, brutal subclass of hazard. And we got 2 more. Time wisps. Time wisps are a subspecies of wisp that appear as faint, candle-like lights with a friendly visage. They are known to temporarily displace objects and persons in time, and are most active at night. Homeowners that have experienced time wisps often report feeling a newfound gratitude for life, a desire to better themselves, or immense existential dread. Danger. Time wisps' tendency towards temporal displacement, while sometimes beneficial, can often result in causing intense anxiety or stress in those who have witnessed their fates to be. Solution. Time wisps will pass through on their own in the course of a single night, and no further action is required. Oh, this is cool. So I think this is a reference to 2 more contemporary folk traditions. In other words, pieces of media. There's A Christmas Carol's Ghosts of Christmas Past, Present, and Future, and Clarence from It's a Wonderful Life. I think the Time Wisp is a sort of home-safetified version of these tropes in Christmas media. A ghost that gives you a sense of time and your place in it. In the case of Home Safety Hotline, it could have the effect that Clarence had in It's a Wonderful Life, giving you a sense of gratefulness for the life you have. But since this is a game with horror elements, it could also fill you with the dread of mortality. Maybe it's a trick of the light, but the Time Wisp in Home Safety Hotline's picture looks a lot like those Lilo and Stitch experiments. It's kind of cute. Remember Sandwich Stacker? That was when gaming peaked. Anyways, welcome to the Wisp family. False Carolers. False carolers are flocks of feathered humanoid creatures draped in many layers of clothing that are known for their pleasant singing vocalizations and for approaching the entrances of homes after dark. Homeowners afflicted by false carolers often report sounds of singing, missing neighbors, or large feathers appearing around the neighborhood doorsteps. Danger. False carolers pose a very direct threat to humans and animals, as they are known to carry away anything that comes close enough to them away to their nesting grounds to feed their young. If false carolers are suspected to be present in a neighborhood, all homeowners in the affected area should stay locked inside their home until sunrise. Solution. As long as their chosen feeding grounds remain fruitful, false carolers will return to the same feeding grounds each night. Most false carolers will move on to other territory after a few consecutive nights of unsuccessful hunts. For more persistent infestations, it is highly advised to utilize Home Safety Hotline's pest control services. When I first saw the false caroler tease in the pictures for this DLC, I was so excited. It looked so creepy. And now the fact that these are essentially chicken people who steal and eat entire neighborhoods was unexpected. I'm tickled now, but if it actually existed in real life, that would be terrifying. This is a reference, of course, to the tradition of singing at people's doorsteps, caroling, wassailing, you name it. The fact that these beings are even vaguely successful in their hunts tickles me, like we can't tell the difference between chicken noises and people singing. A new addition to the false category, the false carolers. Really, the descriptor false is all I really need to put it in this wild card category. But aside from pretending to be something else, these hazards aren't very connected to one another. I like to think of Christmas carolers and wassailers as the Christmas version of trick-or-treaters. Wonder what happens when you give them black licorice. I'm probably like 90% of you are like, oh great, another one of his obscure member berries, but I opened a wound for some of you.
The wild man is real. I've seen him. I've seen him. I know you people know about things like this. I know what you really do. I have photos. We can get these out in front of the public. The people need to know. Please, help me get this out to the world before it's too late. I know he's been tracking me.
I have photos.
Please hold.
The wild man, huh? The only wild-looking man I'm aware of are those warlocks. And look at him. That's pretty wild. So perhaps he's talking about the mountain warlock. But this is the first time a caller is threatening to release pictures of the hazard, even being obsessed with it. And normally callers are pretty oblivious until their consequence call. This has to be a hint. Oh, here we go. Homeowners that have attracted the boggart often report strange sightings, an obsession with discovery. Oh, hold on. He called the forgotten boggart the Wild Man. He gave it a name. That's something that you don't want to do with just the regular boggarts. Unless there's a bit of a startup delay to the hazardous activities, our dear Chester may already have been screwed. Well, it's worth a try. Forgotten boggart, final answer. The answer is forgotten boggart. Kind of funny how it has a mysterious effect on people, causing them to be obsessed, kind of like cryptid hunting communities. That might be just what this is a reference of. Here's the consequence call if we misdiagnose Chester's forgotten boggart problem.
Why did you send this to me? Are you trying to hide the truth? If you won't help me, I'll find someone else. Is that burning? Oh my God, he found me. He's here. He's here!
That's nuts. We are graced with another boggart attack caught on the line. Very creepy. Let's take another call from Carl.
Please help. Can't move. Too weak. Need more. Need more.
Please hold.
Remember that one guy in the previous video? Shift? Hank here.
Hank here. That's strike two with you people. I must go inside. I must pay for my sins.
In his consequence call, he seemed to be under the spell of a mole. But we don't have moles. Maybe the possession aspect is a night wisp. But we don't have a night wisps either. Maybe the twilight is mesmerizing Carl? Oh, yeah, look. Sufficient satiation, these cravings, bingo. Twilight. You can't just skim through it. You have to read the whole thing. This satiation seems to be referring to the twilight itself, not the victims. We haven't even read this entry yet, but I don't think that this would be a twilight problem. The closest thing we can find to what might be ailing Carl is the sugar wisp. Need more. Perhaps need more sugar? Can't move might refer to his malnutrition. I'm gonna go with that Hail Mary, sugar wisp. That's correct. Here's what happens when we misdiagnose Carl's sugar wisp problem. All we get is a death rattle. Carl succumbs to his starvation. Since Roggy brought it up, let's actually read the Twilight entry. The Twilight. The Twilight is an annual recurring phenomenon known for its diet of fear and suffering. Should it find sufficient satiation in these cravings during its time spent in our cosmic proximity, it will proceed to consume all things that dwell above and below the soil. Danger. The Twilight is a severe existential threat to all living things, so long as it finds sufficient feeding material. Its hunger should avoid being sated at all costs. Solution. The Twilight should be kept from its desires at all costs until it moves past. To prevent its feeding, all manner of fear, agony, and suffering should be avoided or mitigated when at all possible on the calendar days of its proximity between December 21st and December 25th. It's also advised to spread as much cheer, celebration, and merriment during this time as feasible. I alluded to it before, but this will be the primary framing of the Seasonal Worker DLC. The Twilight, this strange light miasma that feeds on all life forms, but requiring stress, fear, and angst to make their food palatable. For this reason, we must not only avoid negative feelings, but also spread positive holiday merriment. And I really like the framing of the DLC for this reason, because I do actually feel like we're doing our part as an employee in correctly diagnosing these hazards to, of course, prevent the fear and dismay that, of course, they typically lead to. This is ultimately why when we get our answers wrong, our cheer level goes down. Let's continue to home safety educate our hotline selves. Dwarves! Dwarves are small, rock-like creatures known for creating and living in underground burrows, sometimes extending their territory into human homes. Homeowners with dwarf infestations often report increased heat in their homes, clattering or banging sounds, and finding rubble or holes in the basement or cellars. Danger. Dwarves are harmless to most mammals, with their diet consisting mostly of insects, soil, and rocks. Dwarves' burrowing activities can often cause foundational problems or structural damage to a home, however. Solution. Dwarves can be dissuaded from tunneling into a home by placing clippings of parasitic plants, such as mistletoe or rattles, in or around cellars and basements. Active infestation should be handled by Home Safety Hotline's pest control services. A bit of the opposite to the snow golems. These rock golems of sorts want the house to be as hot as possible instead of cold as possible. This particular kind of dwarf might be inspired off of one interpretation of the Norse dwarf, either made of stone or simply being masters of stone. There's also this implication of a parasitic relationship with Ymir, being born of and burrowing in her skin, and that's what I can gather from a cursory look through the Wikipedia compilation of dwarves. What's cool is also this talk about using parasitic plants like mistletoe and rattles to ward off dwarves. I don't know too much about rattles, but I know mistletoe, of course, is a very traditionally associated Christmas plant. Now, parasitic plants like these two essentially graft themselves into host plants and siphon off water and nutrients. Maybe the earthen biology of these dwarves make them great hosts for parasitic plants as well. Elves.
Have you heard of the High Elves?
Elves are humanoid creatures with pointed ears that often inhabit large-scale human social gatherings under the guise... That's not an elf, that's an intruder. Elves are humanoid creatures with pointed ears that often inhabit large-scale human social gatherings under the guise of being forgotten friends, family, or acquaintances. Homeowners who have made direct contact with elves often report headaches, nausea, or lightheadedness. Danger. Elves are known to lower the immune response of humans they come into contact with directly, often leading to the contracting of a variety of illnesses, resulting in long-term, hazardous, or fatal consequences. Solution. To prevent or minimize contact with elves, it is advised homeowners to not interact with anyone they do not recognize at social functions, especially those claiming to have a history or personal connection with them. It's also advised to keep social functions to a minimum, or to closely supervise the attending parties to prevent unwanted intrusions. This could be a reference to Huldafolk, an Icelandic and Faroe Islander tradition, elves that hide among humans, but there's no mention of them causing headaches or ailments. Elves, fae? Oh no, fae is explicitly fairy. Elves are kind of their own thing. I think I'm missing something here. But I think Huldafolk is a good place to start. But I can't think of any other inspiration from there. I look forward to all of your input. Of all the home invading hazards, this one has the most unique MO. A good solution that I can think of is having a stringent Secret Santa policy. The elf would be the odd one out. So whoever doesn't give a gift can be safely classified as an elf. We take another call from Tony.
Yeah. So, there's strange noises coming from our basement. Yeah, I don't know what's down there, but I can hear it scurrying around and making little scratching noises at night. I don't dare go down myself, but my wife said she found little round pellets or something down there.
Please hold.
In the basement. Ooh, dwarves! Nobody said scurrying, so it's gotta be... Oh, my beloved fracture hobs. Not a bad guess, but I feel like there would be more hints towards that. I think this is just another mouse issue. Two of the same hazard on the first day? When it rains, it pours. If we diagnose Home Safety Tony's hotline hazard, if we diagnose Tony's home safety hazard as anything except mice, we get this consequence call.
This packet you sent doesn't make any sense, and there is still something in our basement. I'm calling Papa Paul's pest control from now on.
A pleasantly tamed consequence, which of course never really happened because we have Righty at the helm. This concludes our first day, an ace in the hole. Please, Just consider the position, Clarence. Save it. I heard the rumors. I will not be accepting any junior supervisor position. Even if we made let's say a special pest control junior supervisor position just for you. Let me tell you a couple of 3 things. Number 1, I like field work. The sun on my skin, the dirt in between my fingernails, the duendes underneath my heel. And B, I like it up here. The surface, boggarts and all. The undersoil just seems boring to me. Well, if you're not going to take the position, we'll have to find somebody who will. Halloween's coming up, so we're onboarding a bunch of newbies, potentially journeying out some apprentices. Perhaps you can oversee one particular journeying out. Babysitting, huh? I see how it is. You're gonna make my job as big of a pain in the ass as possible, so I have no choice but to accept the position. I could always quit, you know. Oh, please, you'd never quit. Home Safety Hotline is the only company that would allow you to grow your beard out as long as you do. I won't bend nor break. Now, if you excuse me, I have a newbie to be shadowed by. Clarence? Oh, hey, Jasonka? Yasinka. But you can just call me John. Fine by me, Johnny boy. That works too. You parked in the courthouse parking lot, right? They validate right there. It's just an $8 charge. It's not worth the headache of getting it validated. Very good. Now, we wait for the calls to come in. So, Yasinka, is that Icelandic? Maybe. It could be. In my case, it's Hungarian. My family comes from Hungary. Aha! Kurva! I think that's Czech. But even if it was Hungarian, that'd be one more word I don't know because I don't speak a lick of it. Come from an Italian family, don't speak a lick of it. Born here, I'm assuming? Raised. I was born in Hungary. I was born in a hospital in Budapest, just right off the river Danube. My mom sent me over here, though. I was raised in this commune. It was like a workshop. She had connections, I guess. Huh. Sorry to hear that, bud. Oh, no, honestly, I was pretty lucky. You know, it takes a village. You know, I was one of the few kids on this planet that had one. Yeah, but every kid needs their mother, you know? Ever since I could read and write, we would send each other letters. Skype works if she can get it to work. That's good. Very good. How about your dad? So this assignment? Just waiting on a call from dispatch, but I think we're going to be dealing with a neighborhood with a really bad stray problem. Home Safety Hotline Pest Control has a lot of hopes for you, kid. You're going to see some weird shit. But if you do, don't panic. I got your back. Huh. Nobody's home. Whole place is a ghost town. You hear that? Birds chirping? Yeah. Something's not right. I'm gonna call this into dispatch. Fucking reception. Okay, so the reason we were called out here was for strays, right? That's because people kept assuming that the bird population was being under attack. They were finding feathers on their property, but no dead bird bodies. And judging from this cacophony of chirping, it seems the bird population is totally fine. This isn't a stray problem, but I don't know what it could be. I'm gonna go to the car where there's better reception. You just take a look around. Nice kill. What the hell even is that? Somebody dressed as a chicken. It's not even Halloween yet. It's not a costume. It's a part of whatever it is. Ugh. Well, I guess we have another pest to worry about. Well, it's almost Halloween. Maybe it's a chick or treater. Yeah, the hotline's gonna call it false trick-or-treater or something. Why do you think it was clucking Christmas carols, though? Is that what that was? You know what? This kind of reminds me of some of the stories my mom used to write to me about. She felt guilty that she was never around to raise me, so she would write to me about all the European folk tales. Creepy-beaked carolers, a horse-faced pantry pillager, and an old lady that would slice open your stomach and stuff it with straw. Jesus! Yeah, right? People complain about the commercialization of Christmas, but I think it's a good thing that kids are spared the fucked up nursery rhymes. We clock into our second seasonal shift. Let's check our emails. From Rodney. Check this out. Dude, did you see this yet? Everybody keeps forwarding this to me. I can't tell if they are taking it seriously or not, but either way, it's hilarious. Thought you'd get a kick out of it. From Rodney. Forward. Important. Send this to 5 friends immediately. Stop. On this day, December 23rd, 25-year-old Alice Prairie fell into a lake and drowned while ice skating. If you don't forward this to 5 other people by tonight, you will drown in the next lake you visit.
My name is Alex Prairie.
I mean, what's the point of scaring people when you live in this universe? These make me nostalgic. Chain texts. I remember my first one was in the 7th grade. Unironically, it terrified me. Attached to it was a one missed call ringtone. Still gives me the creeps to this day. Now, from Rodney's gregarious correspondence, spirits are still high in the office, it seems. However, the Home Safety Hotline Observatory has some uneasy news. Of course, December 23rd, 1996. Phenomena sighted in Manitoba at approximately 1200 hours. This is the twilight. It's approaching. It's 100,000 miles away. Current risk profile moderate. The twilight is getting closer, moving south from Nunavut to Manitoba. Something tells me this Christmas is going to be nutty. With nothing else to explore, let's clock into our second shift. 2 days until Christmas. It's Christmas. What's wrong with you? We get a call from Christmas Carol, our Yuletide home safety supervisor.
Greetings, Rebecca. It is Carol again. There have been reports of some new activity, so we have gone ahead and made some new information available to thee. I pray things are going well thus far. Thou knowest as well as I what is at stake. I do hope to see thee soon, Rebecca.
Let's try to get a head start on those entries. Winter fur. Winter fur is a highly contagious seasonal virus known to cause the rapid growth of white, hair-like follicles across an infected individual's face, body, and eyes. Full coverage is expected to occur within the first 48 hours after infection. It is most commonly found in mammals and is contracted through direct contact with the infected. Danger. Subsequent blindness caused by winter fur can create more hazardous conditions and reduce quality of life for those infected. Winter fur is also known to attract other dangerous pests, such as any variety of ticks or fleas. Solution. Once winter fur has completed its growth, it can be mitigated using any variety of traditional shaving equipment, such as razors, to reduce the chance of attracting ticks or fleas. The infected individual should be quarantined from other parties indefinitely to avoid spreading the virus further. This could be inspired off the larger fantasy trope of lycanthropy, getting a bunch of fur spontaneously. But regardless, we can go ahead and tip the old hat to the pathology category. This one being a virus. The only other virus that I'm aware of in Home Safety Hotline is the Fey Flu. Frost wisps. Frost wisps are a subspecies of wisp that commonly take on the appearance of semi-transparent crystallized orbs. Homeowners suffering from frost wisps often report shivering sensations, a chill in the air, in otherwise warm places, and sudden lingering thoughts of their own mortality. Danger. Frost wisps are harmless to most mammals and humans in their vicinity as long as they keep their distance, but direct contact with a frost wisp can cause hazardous effects such as frostbite. Solution. Frost wisps will remain in a home so long as homeowners continue to linger on dreadful thoughts, such as mortality or the prospect of decomposition. Homeowners are advised to distract themselves in any manner of cheerful activity, food, or friendly company to keep such thoughts at bay. For more persistent frost wisp infestation, my c*** in the ball, dude. How am I supposed to say that? For more persistent frost wisp infestations, it is advised to utilize Home Safety Hotline pest control services. I don't know why, but I find this entry to be the cutest and most satisfying to look at. Just an ice bubble that makes you think about rotting. I can't seem to find any concrete inspiration aside from general will-o-wisp fantasy creatures. The other instance of a frost wisp is a possible pet in a Minecraft mod called Hypixel, where it's classified as a gabagool pet. This is just the standard rarity ranking in role-playing video games. You have common, uncommon, rare, epic, unique, and gabagool. Of course, the frost wisp belongs to the wisp category, albeit the gabagool subcategory of wisps. This one seems to be the most harmless of all the wisps in Home Safety Hotline. Our reading is interrupted by a call from Christine.
I need someone to come fix our windows. I fear there's a terrible draft coming in, and I wouldn't want anyone at my second family gathering to catch a cold. I'm hosting at least 20 additional family members, and I need this place locked tight for their sakes. I've already caught something dreadful during our last hosted function, and I don't intend for it to happen again.
A sickness, huh? Could it be something Fae-related? Fae flu, perhaps? If it's party-related, maybe somebody brought a Fae feast to the potluck. But wait. The Fae flu is permanent and very distinctive. It seems whatever flu or cold she's talking about eventually broke. She mentions windows. Maybe this is a snow golem problem, trying to compromise the heat insulation of the home. Final answer. I was impressed with your ruling out of the Fae flu, but you ultimately got trapped in focusing on the cold aspect. The big hint is the family gathering. This is clearly an elf intruder, mooching off the party and getting people sick. If we get Christine's elf problem wrong, we get this consequence call.
The information we received was useless. Now nearly everyone in my family is sick, thanks to you. Merry Christmas indeed.
Makes sense that it wouldn't end in a, wait, who are you kind of way. These elves are good at remaining hidden. Funny that she says nearly everybody is sick. This must be excluding the elf, which is probably chillin', the infecting elf. Oh, him? That's Uncle Cousin Hairdresser, Thorin Everglade. He's got a really good immune system. We get another call, this time from Charlie. Say hi, Charlie.
Oh, God, I'm dead. I'm dead and I'm only 33. Please say I can change this. Please say I can change it.
Please hold.
Oh no. What? This poor guy is clearly in despair, some sort of impending doom. All this time I was wanting to hear what a Dorsha call would sound like, but this is horrible. Nothing we can do except give a correct diagnosis. Oh, wow. Not a bad guess, Rangi, not a bad guess. But if you notice, he's focusing very hard on his age, the mortality that is bound to time. This is clearly the more harmless time wisp. If we misdiagnose Charlie's time wisp problem, we get this consequence call.
Why did you send me this? What does this mean? Am I still going to die? Am I still going to die? Oh, God! My birthday is next week. I'll change. I swear I'll change.
The despair that the passing of time gives us can be quite paralytic. That dread could be what prevents us from taking part in community merriment and being really bad for the cheer economy. He should be fine in a few nights. Let's continue reading our new entries. Hans. Hans is a human-shaped husk of cloth, rags, and straw known for sneaking into the homes and domains of the affluent, wealthy, and fortunate. Homes occupied by Hans commonly suffer symptoms such as the appearance of strange markings, the faint sounds of rustling, or occupants suddenly behaving abnormally. Danger. While Hans does not directly harm those he crosses paths with, Hans can negatively impact the lives of homeowners should he complete the process of occupation. Occupied human adults may commit acts they do not condone, including more hazardous behaviors such as murder, debauchery, and arson. Solution. Homeowners should swiftly evacuate any home suspected of Hans' occupation. Should a family member or loved one be successfully occupied by Hans, it is advised to contact Home Safety Hotline Pest Control Services immediately. This hazard is likely inspired from Hans' Trapp, I guess a sort of Christmas scarecrow. From what I can gather, the folktale of the evil scarecrow was a means of denouncing and defaming an infamous knight, Hans von Trotha. I guess this is kind of like how Vlad the Impaler is depicted as a vampire or dragon spawn. This take on Hans' Trapp is quite unique. In Home Safety Hotline, he seems to feel more like a Faith mini-boss. Scarecrow aesthetic, demonic symbols, and of course, possession. Speaking of creepy home invading hazards with tenuous connections to more personified folklore, check this entry out. The Lussi. Lussi is a semi-solid humanoid creature vaguely resembling a pale human woman known for slipping inside homes during hailstorms. Homeowners often report a slimy, semi-transparent substance near openings such as doors, windows, air ducts, and chimneys. Danger. Lussi can be quite hazardous to any humans or pets that cross its path, as Lussi is known to steal the warmth of warm-blooded mammals, often leaving behind their crumbled, frozen remains. Solution. It is highly advised to quietly hide all warm-blooded inhabitants of a home if Lussi is suspected to be present, and wait patiently for it to pass through on its own. Now this is most likely inspired from Lussi Langnatt, or Long Night. I couldn't find much concrete info, but from what I can gather it was a Scandinavian tradition that marked the beginning of winter, a night thought to be the longest night, Long Nacht. And so in order to fight against the angst that darkness brings, people kept the lights on throughout the night, kept vigil, and made bread with saffron, giving it a bright yellow hue. This tradition was signified by its figurehead, Lussi, who would make sure that homes had ample warmth, light, and baked goods. She was a sort of fearful figure, but I don't think she was wicked. She was this highly discerning principality of darkness and light. Sadly, not much was preserved from the pre-Christian traditions of Lussi Langnatt, but I did find this cute website of one artist's testimonies, illustrated with cute mouse art. Now this is what the internet was meant for. Obviously, the home-safe-tified Lussi maintains that desire for warmth. But instead of being a terrifying sorceress that discerned warmth, this is a ghoulish hazard that siphons the warmth from living things until they're dead, frozen husks. We also have this repeated theme in these more personified Yuletide traditions of waiting something to pass over, be it a wicked force or a benevolent force. The Mare. The Mare is a skeletal horse-like humanoid draped in a variety of tinsels and fabrics. It is known for its distinct song-like screeching and its tendency to approach the entrances of homes after dark. Homeowners often report the sounds of wailing, screeching, or singing. Danger. The Mare poses little to no danger to humans or animals, but has been known to consume large amounts of homes' food and beverages if invited inside. The Mare cannot be disrupted while feasting. Solution. The Mare poses no direct threat to homeowners, and can either be invited in to let it feast until it's contented, at which point it would leave on its own, or it can be safely ignored if homeowners are willing to bear with the noises it creates for a few hours. The use of earplugs or soundproof materials can assist homeowners who do not wish to invite the Mare into their home. Despite being one of the more creepier of the home invading hazards, the Mare just doesn't seem to have as dangerous of a consequence. Perhaps not so much anymore because of grocery stores and modern day food manufacturing. I can imagine way back in the day at the start of Yuletide, this skeletal Mare coming in and gobbling up all your food would be basically a death sentence. This home safety hazard is likely inspired off of a Welsh tradition called Mare Lwyd. Wassailers or carolers would have a decorated horse skull and sing at the doorsteps of homes. The wassailers would sing improvised songs called, apologies if I get this one wrong, punkos. This is a sort of Christmas rap battle. The carolers and home dwellers would playfully go back and forth improvising the song until either party gives up or runs out of ideas. If the home dweller fails, they must let the wassailers in and give them some food and drink. And this is just such a cute tradition. As somebody who loves the tradition of trick-or-treating, I would love the Mare Lwyd tradition. And it's sadly, it's a dying tradition too. Trick-or-treating, that is. I like to think in an alternate universe where I'm the one Armenian Welshman, I'd be like, where's the Mare Lwyd? To prevent any misunderstanding, what I'm saying is, my only hope is that Mare Lwyd isn't going in the way of trick-or-treating here in the United States. At least in my neck of the woods, trick-or-treating is just not as ubiquitous anymore. It's been kind of replaced with trunk-or-treating, which makes sense. It's a bit more safer that way. But still, though, some of my fondest memories in my childhood were trick-or-treating, so it's a pity that the younger generations may not have those same memories. Anyways, moving on. Ogress. Ogresses are large, 8 to 10 foot cave-dwelling creatures, typically only active at high elevations during the winter. Homeowners typically do not experience an ogress directly, but rather report other consequences of its presence, such as Yulemen or Yule cats. Danger. In some rare instances, an ogress will see fit to visit a home if they fail to acquire their targets through other means. Due to their size, their subsequent entrance to a home can prove catastrophic to a home's roofing, foundation, and its inhabitants. Solution: to prevent an ogress from entering one's home, it is highly advised to avoid escalating their activities by allowing Yulemans access to a home. So don't let the Yuleman access the home. Homeowners that wish to avoid the attention of an ogress in the first place can reinforce and advise benevolent behavior in their children. This is likely a reference to Grilla, the mother ogress in the larger Icelandic Yuletide tradition. The Home Safety Hotline ogress seems to be somehow linked to the Yule men. This is a mirroring to Grilla being the mother of the 13 Yule lads. Grilla also lives on a diet of naughty children, however the Home Safety Hotline ogress is not as discerning. Before I'm able to read up on the Yule category of hazards, I get another call. Busy Yuletide.
There's some kind of dying animal in our yard. Can you send someone out to put it out of its misery? It's been screaming like hell for the past hour, and I'm far too squeamish to go look at it or touch it myself. My son is only 10 years old, and he's very worried about the poor thing, so please hurry.
A dying animal. Well, the Lussi kind of looks like a decomposing corpse. Let's listen. Oh yeah, that does kind of sound like it too. Lussi in the sky with twilight at this rate. No, this is a mare. A dying animal is probably a hint to a skeletal equine cabeza, that of the Mare Lwyd. That being said, I gotta give you credit for checking the audio, but no, this is a better match. Mare. Final answers. What's wrong with me? If we misdiagnose Angela's mare problem, we get this night mare consequence call.
It's in my house. My son let it inside the house, and now it's drinking and eating everything. What is that? No, put that down. Put that down.
While the cacophony and cries on the other line sounds dire, they're just getting their pantry raided by this skelly Lwyd. A mundane consequence when put next to some of the more strange hazards. But speaking of which, let's get another call.
I think Betty's cat is on the prowl. I need someone to come put that beast down. First, Betty doesn't show up to the PTA meeting this week, and now it seems her cat is on the loose again, leaving its disgusting feastfuls of feathers behind on neighbors' porches.
Please hold.
Missing neighbors and mention of a cat making monster-sized puke balls. Yule cat. Yule all cat. Oh, that wasn't it. I feel like it's taking more creativity to get these things wrong. But not that this game is too easy or anything. We're just sick with it. Yeah, that was intentional for the content. A feather-marked porch. Missing neighbors. These are just false carolers. If we misdiagnose Holly's not-so-jolly false caroler problem, we get this not-so-holly-jolly consequence collie.
Yes, I called earlier about sending someone to deal with that ravenous creature Betty calls her pet, and your people just sent me a bunch of useless garbage. Now hang on a moment. Please go away. I'm talking!
I think we're supposed to interpret that as Holly being carried away to the caroler's nesting grounds. That's brutal. It's now occurring to me that some of these hazards systematically pick off neighborhoods one by one, decimating entire communities. Of course, you've got the fear and the pain of losing loved ones, the loss of life, that tragedy, but also because there are no people in these communities, no communities to have merriment, it ultimately neuters our ability to cheer back the forces of the twilight. Let's finally get into the Yule Family entries. The Yule cat. Look at that boy. Yule cats are large, feline-like creatures known for prowling populated high-elevation areas during the winter. They feed primarily on various textiles and fabrics. Homeowners experiencing Yule cats often report sounds of hissing, growling, large paw prints in the snow, and missing clothes or neighbors. Danger. Yule Cat's dyed fabrics can prove quite hazardous to clothed homeowners if caught in their path, and due to their size and speed, most human adults and children will not survive these sorts of encounters. Yule Cat's strength also allows them to easily break into homes in search of food if sufficiently hungry, damaging doors and windows in the process. Solution: if a Yule Cat is expected to be active in the area, homeowners should take quick action to leave out a variety of fabrics and textiles within a safe distance outside of the home. It is advised to deliver these fabrics completely unclothed. Okay, I see. So do that in the nude, I guess. You might be thinking, why clothes? What the hell does that have to do with Christmas? Well, clothes are literally the best gift you can give somebody. It's generally cheaper than most other gifts, can be used indefinitely, and is a requirement for protection and societal norms. Of course, as children, we want the latest Cube World or Polly Pocket, but nothing can replace a brand new pair of socks. This is something we don't understand in our youth. This is why some traditions needed the Yule Cat. This is the Yule Cat that Home Safety Hotline based their Yule Cat off of. From what I could gather, the Yule Cat of old preyed on farmers and artisans who didn't process their wool and textiles in time for winter, and also ate children who didn't get new clothes, which of course would make children more grateful for receiving the boring but maximum utility value gift. I'm paid off by big clothes. Well, I pay for big clothes. From my understanding, this tradition is still maintained, however, it's modernized in some homes. The Yule Cat will come to eat children who don't wear the clothes they get on Christmas, incentivizing them to use and be grateful for such a phenomenal gift. Yule Goat. No, I won't. Yule goats are goat-shaped apparitions that can sometimes occur in a home during the winter. Homeowners experiencing Yule goats often report strange coincidences, citing shapes of goats throughout the house and imagined sounds of bleating. Danger. Yule goats are not directly harmful to humans or animals, but their prolonged presence can often cause paranoia or sleep deprivation in affected homeowners, which can sometimes lead to careless household accidents, such as fires. Solution: as long as a Yule goat is suspected to be present in a household, a humble offering of wheat or straw may be made in appeasement. For more persistent infestations, it is advised to utilize Home Safety Hotline's pest control services. Now this is a strange entry. It's more a cognito hazard of sorts, but it's still corporeal enough to warrant the Home Safety Hotline pest control. What's fascinating is the real-life Yule goat has many traditions, one of them involving the crafting of a large goat statue made of straw. Maybe this enigmatic hazard is collecting wheat and straw to incarnate itself. I'm not sure. Might as well add this enigmatic entry to the Yule family, but I'm not sure if the Yule goat has any sort of ties to Grilla, the Yule cat, or her Yule lads. Yule men. Yule men are a subspecies of gnome that appear as small, hairy humanoids with pointed craniums that are often seen traveling in packs of 13 or more. Homeowners infested with Yule men often report broken windows, stolen food, sounds of clattering or giggling, and more rarely, missing pet or children. Danger. Yule men are harmless to human adults, but can be a safety hazard for household pets that are small enough to eat and human children who have attracted the attention of an ogress. Solution. Yule men will typically leave a home on their own when satisfied with their taking. To prevent Yule men from entering one's home, homeowners may board up windows and close off sufficiently large openings, such as chimneys, but in most circumstances this is highly unadvisable. This one is a blast. So, at face value, these are just pests of innumerable quantity, like ants or rats, that come in and ransack your food. But if this is closely tied to our real-life tradition, then there would be up to 13 Yule men who would ransack your home, each targeting a specific thing. I'm going to present to you the 13 Yule lads, basically the 7 dwarves, but cooler. I'll be using their English translated names. First up, we have Sheepcoat Clod, who is a double peg-legged sheep harasser. We've got Gully Gawk, who hides in thickets and ditches to sneak into barns and drink milk straight from the teat. Stubby is the shortest of the Yule lads, stealing baking implements specifically encrusted with burnt stuff and trying to scrape the food off of that encrusting. Spoon Licker is an emaciated Yule lad who desperately steals spoons and trying to lick the molecules of food off of it. Pot Scraper is responsible for stealing pots and scraping the food off the bottom of them. Bowl Licker hides under beds, and if you don't put away your bowls and clean them properly, he'll sneak out of the bed and lick all the bowls. There's Door Slammer, which, to be honest with you, I have no idea what he does. Skier or Yogurt Gobbler, who steals all your yogurt. I can't say this Yule lad's name on account of a restraining order I have against him. Window Peeper, who cases homes looking for valuables to steal. Doorway Sniffer, who sniffs the crevices of doors, looking for something called leaf bread. It's a really tasty looking kind of wafer-thin flatbread. Almost forgot this one. Meat Hook, who uses a hook to steal meat. And Candle Beggar, who desperately gets his nutrition from candles. Way back in the day, candles were made out of tallow, or animal fat. I notice a sort of theme of desperation with these Yule lads. Now, I'm no cultural anthropologist, but I can't help but wonder that maybe these tales are told to children to teach them to be thankful for what little that they might have had way back in the day. And so perhaps this was used to teach children to be thankful for the food that they did have, lest some more appreciative beasties will come along and lick literally everything at the detriment of the household. Just a thought. I really, really like the Yuletide Icelandic traditions. A lot of cool little tales and stories and figureheads. It's really cool. Perhaps the dread of winter makes people creative. After getting caught up on the Yule manga, we get a call from Rhonda. Who writes this shit?
I think there's some kind of mold problem in our house. I keep finding this nasty kind of thick slime residue near the air vents. And I think it's scaring the pets. Our poor cat hasn't wanted to come back inside yet, so I need this fixed as soon as possible.
Please hold.
It's a Lussi. What? No, it's... Hold on, that was my line. Yeah, but there's no fathomable way anybody could get this wrong if they were aware of the Lussi. FP, I don't think he's gonna budge. Can we just both get this right? Yeah, no worries. So, yes, the answer is Lussi, of course. The thick slime gives it away. I'm gonna call this a slime cloche, just so we can get the consequence call.
What the hell is going on? This thing tried to kill my cat. Tell me what to do. Oh God. It's coming through. It's coming through the bottom.
Oh, poor kitty. So some of these hazards, including this one, target our furry family members. That would ruin anybody's year, let alone their Christmas.
Oh my God, I think there's an avalanche outside! Our home is right below the mountain! Please send someone over before it's too late!
I was wondering what the callers with more obvious hazards would sound like. Still have my fingers crossed for a house fire call. But what if it isn't obvious, my dear righty? What if it's a cloche bringing down the house and it just happens to sound like an avalanche? Ronky, we could just both get it right. Don't look at me like that, righty. I had a buddy in Colchester, Connecticut who had a clothing store with a cloche problem. He had to cloche down. No, it's... Ronky, sometimes you just have to listen to the caller. They just give you the answer. Avalanche. If we misdiagnose our frontier psychiatrist's avalanche problem, we get this consequence call. Okay, this is one of the more viscerally screwed up calls. Don't get me wrong, right behind the guy literally dying of starvation. But there's just something so gallows funny about screwing up such an obvious call and just the caller just basically calling you one last time. His arm is like on the outside of a glacier, you know, outside, and just screaming at you, "Fuck you!" One last spiteful final call. Oh, snow sucks. I gotta commend people who live in snowy climates. Tire chains, waiting for snow plows, a logistical nightmare. And of course, even if the avalanche doesn't kill you, it destroys your home. You gotta cancel the family potluck. Or if it traps you in there, you can't get to the family potluck. Even in the best case scenario, it demolishes your Christmas spirit, ultimately helping in the Twilight's machinations.
The doctors told me to call here. I think I caught some kind of dog disease. My neighbor's freak dog sneezed on me or something, and now it's growing on me. I can feel it underneath my skin, this horrid little bump forming. It's hurting very badly. Please, can you tell me what to do?
Some kind of dog disease?
Please hold.
You think you caught some kind of dog disease? What's wrong, Rongy? Listen, it's obvious Sam's dog disease is a red nose. But maybe I could pretend to get it mixed up with the unicorn fungi, which is another kind of dog disease. But it's not on here. Chill out. It's Christmas. What's wrong with you? I have no choice but to get this right, righty? So we'll just both guess red nose. I'll go ahead and do the honors of getting this one wrong then. Nose cloche.
I look like a freak. The info your people sent didn't do anything, and it's getting bigger. It opened. It opened, and something is coming out. What the hell is this?
Oh, brutal. The entry for the red nose made it seem effectively harmless. I had no idea this was so cordyceps coated. Damn. Oh, by the way, if you've consistently gotten all calls wrong, it would be at this point your cheer levels would be critical, and the game over sequence would initiate.
Any punishment I am able to mete out pales in comparison to what will now transpire. Return to thy home and enjoy the last few precious moments of this fertile earth while it remains.
Huh, wow. And compared to the base game over call, this one's oddly somber. This is why.
Farewell, Rebecca.
Reports are coming in of strange green lights appearing in the sky.
Are panicking as the lights approach.
Extreme weather conditions across.
Yes! Christmas is ruined! It's good. I'm like, how can you top "You Are Unemployed"? This is such a great game over ending. First of all, I think it encapsulates that sort of local 58 analog vibe that initially inspired the good folks at Night Signal. Creepy, mysterious things in the sky, foretold by the staticky square oracle that is the cathode ray TV. The added touch of people praying in their final moments is grim. Or those could be Christmas revelers trying their best to uphold the final bit of Christmas cheer to fend off the twilight. It goes without saying, those lights in this cutscene were the twilight. An easily overlooked hazard from day one, but ultimately the great big bad that makes its flight from the north. The dinner bell being rung by our fear. Its march south expedited from our lack of merriment. Don't get me wrong, being turned into a mouse is quite terrifying, but this is absolutely soul-crushing. But you need not worry, for that footage was only for demonstration purposes. With Righty at the helm, we still have footage of a perfectly good run, a pristine cut, if you will. Back to our second shift. We get a call from Steven.
Someone is coming into my home. Your security cameras broke on me, so I can't see who it is. I can hear their shoes squeaking or something in the footage when they came in to steal my Santa outfit. Do you have some kind of policy compensating your customers for selling them faulty equipment?
Please hold.
This is most likely a Yule cat. Stolen clothes, maybe the broken cameras have something to do with it. Otherwise, you would be able to make out a giant cat. Hold your horses for a second. Wrongy, what harebrained answer are you cooking up over there? Listen, just let me guess Yule cat. And if I get this wrong, you can make another decision. But it isn't wrong. Well, then you have nothing to lose by letting me go first. Yule cat. See? The screen went all neon. Yule cat is incorrect. What? You overlooked a very specific detail. I'm not used to this position. I don't know, the squeaking shoes, maybe what, like, they're just proper burglars? But that's not a hazard. Oh, this is a hazard from the base game. The trolls. This whoopee cushion aspect to the troll is likely what's making those squeaking noises. Also, I wanted to mention the previous video, I didn't realize that the reason why UV lights ward off trolls is because in actual folklore, trolls are turned into stone from sunlight. Now, if we were to guess anything except troll, we would get this consequence call from Steven.
Oh my god, they're hideous! Your info package was no help at all! That disgusting, sagging thing came back and I saw them take away my blankets! I'll be seeking business elsewhere! Thanks for nothing!
While this consequence is a lot more tame compared to the troll consequence call in the base game, the implication of losing all warming clothes and textiles would be a death sentence for people with lack of access or mobility. It's simple, really. No Christmas blankie, no Christmas cheer. With the help of Righty and Wrongy, we pass our second shift with perfect accuracy.
That's good to hear you, Sinka. How do you like working with Clarence?
He's a pretty cool guy. He seems pretty eager to show me the ropes.
That's good, because you're going to be replacing him.
Is he quitting?
Take this.
What is this?
It's forced metamorphosis serum.
What?
It turns mere mortals like Clarence into mice. It's how we tie up loose ends here at Home Safety Hotline.
Okay.
Normally it's administered through a gaseous form. This is our liquid prototype. It's scentless, tasteless, and has no side effects, aside from the forced metamorphosis.
Is this like a weird hazing ritual for journeying out apprentices or something?
This is not a prank, nor a mere hazing ritual, but it is a part of your journeying out. When you are ready to ascend to dissension, simply poison Clarence, perhaps on one of your lunch breaks.
Did Clarence ever?
No. Clarence knows a lot, but he doesn't know about our special severance package. Don't let us down. We're counting on you.
So, you excited for Halloween?
Yeah, I love it. You got a favorite scary movie? Dracula. Bela Lugosi. Now that's a real Italian. Well, Bela Lugosi was his stage name. He was actually Hungarian. Well, then you know what? I like him even more. I love the holidays. Halloween's great. Thanksgiving is great. I can't stand Christmas, though. Why's that? Everybody loves Christmas. Family shit. Gotcha. Yeah, I got the hint from our last shift. When you asked about my dad, nah, it's not that touchy of a subject. Let's just say his intentions for my life were the reason why my mom sent me here in the first place. You see, I come from a family of... One second, kid. Clarence here, lay it on me.
Oh, Clarence, thank God I got you. My interface is lighting up a bunch of hazards.
All right, then, what are we dealing with?
That's the thing, I don't know. Wisps that aren't in our database. Strange beings that we have zero clue about. They're all Yuletide hazards migrated from Europe.
In the fall? Well, something's not right here. All right, get in touch with Chateau Sécurité from France, Husvorn LLC in Iceland, and Tanza Grupa LLC in Germany. Clarence out. Yasinka, those fairy tale stories that your mother told you when you were young might come in handy. What's with the hat?
To break this case wide open. All this time, I thought the Whittier Walker was a force to be feared, but I realized I think he has a story that he wants to tell us, and I'm gonna tell that story. The Whittier Walker is...
All right, you, turn that camera off right now. Erase that whiteboard. I don't want to see what the heck you've been drawing.
No, I'm not gonna. It's a matter of life and death. He's here. The Whittier Walker's here. You'll be proven wrong. Come tell the story. Let's start the day off by checking our emails. This first one's from Rodney.
From Rodney. Heads up. I don't know if you've heard already, but the pest control department has been panicking and sending out vans all morning. I think something big might be going down. I know you have a lot on your plate already, so I figured I'd give you a heads up. Also, Happy Christmas Eve. Hope you've been good this year. From Rodney.
Gotcha. He's just giving us a heads up to a later plot point. While the twilight is looming, something else is a-brewing. Speaking of which...
Home Safety Hotline Observatory. Daily Twilight Report, December 24th, 1996. In this case, it's moderate to high, and the proximity is 50,000 miles. Cheer levels should be closely monitored. Home Safety Hotline Observatory.
Despite our efforts, the twilight is still making its procession south, and it's now passing over North Dakota. The email says cheer levels should be closely monitored. No problem, we'll do just that. With no other options, we start our third shift. On Christmas Eve, we get another call, not from Christmas Carol, but...
Hudson here, HSH Pest Control. Listen up. The Mouse King is loose, and it's our understanding he means to stir up trouble of the Yuletide variety. My boys are working around the clock to find him and stop him in his tracks before things get too hairy, but sometimes things slip through the cracks. Little things, if you get my meaning. If you hear anything strange, let us know as soon as you can. There's new data coming your way. Read it carefully. Keep those eyes peeled. Hudson out.
The fact that Night Signal was able to get legendary prank caller Longmont Potion Castle on board with this is so epic. I was wondering why we weren't getting any prank calls up there. Now, just in case you were distracted by this, I'll just reiterate what Hudson told us. On top of letting us know we have new entries, he fills us in on the Mouse King, wreaking havoc of the Yuletide variety. Let's go ahead and read the Mouse King's entry.
The Mouse King. Just identical to a normal mouse. The Mouse King is a prominent member of a traitorous clan of mice, known for recruiting and leading them in nefarious activities, such as riots, heists, and assassinations. Homeowners with the Mouse King often report sounds of squeaking, scratching, and seeing strange mice behaviors, such as mass coordination or attempts at communication. Danger. The Mouse King poses an incredible threat to all living things, and its destruction should be immediately prioritized. Solution. The Mouse King should be stopped at all costs, by any means necessary. Homeowners are highly encouraged to use lethal removal methods, including but not limited to mouse traps, toxic sprays, sharp implements, or any licensed firearms. If homeowners will not oblige, they are advised to utilize Home Safety Hotline's pest control services.
Peculiar. If you remember, the game over sequence of the base game was the employee, or you, the player, being turned into a mouse. There's also this background side story of a former coworker, Michael or Mike, sending you warning emails as in his mouse form. Out of all the mammalian hazards, Home Safety Hotline has a special hatred for mice. They were the only entry whose solution permitted lethal measures. And so it seems this hostility persists even here. Is the Mouse King... Oh, I'm just starting to think. Is the Mouse King Michael? I wonder. Is the Mouse King a former employee leading a band of ex-Home Safety Hotline employees who have been turned into mice, Roald Dahl witches style, coming back to settle a score with the company that transformed them? Well, if they are, they couldn't have picked a worse time, being that the twilight is afoot. Before we have a chance to read up on our new entries, we get a call from Whitaker.
We need someone to come check our house for damage. I think I felt an earthquake last night. And this morning, I noticed those godless Hendersons across the street crying about something with the police. So I'm fairly sure whatever happened must have been enough to damage our property.
Please hold.
Nope, I'm not making any decisions until we read through some of these entries. Yeah, ditto. Let's specifically look through stuff relating to storms. That's got to be the big key with this call. Do your thing, Flawed Peacock, and we'll chime in when we're ready to answer. Fine by me.
The Hunt is a storm-like fungal weather phenomenon that carries with it large quantities of infectious, snow-like spores. Homeowners caught in the Hunt commonly report thunder, blizzards, electrical outages, and violent or erratic behavior from neighbors. Danger.
The hunt's powerful winds can often cause trees to break or fall, which can lead to dangers such as property damage, electrical outages, or fires. The hunt spores, if ingested, can also cause unpredictable and hazardous symptoms in humans, such as color blindness, physical deformations, and cannibalistic desires. Solution: if the hunt is expected to pass through one's neighborhood, homeowners can take measures to keep safe by quarantining themselves within a basement, cellar, or other underground shelter until the storm and ensuing panic passes. It is advised to keep an emergency supply of food, medicine, and water stocked for such an occasion. This is a sort of fungal wind that turns people into mutant cannibals. The closest thing I can find for inspiration is The Wild Hunt, another Yule vignette of various underworld and celestial figures having a presence on Earth. The Wikipedia for Yule cites the Dictionary of Norse Myth and Legend by Andy Orchard, saying that during this time, undead activities such as shambling Draugr are increased. We'll later read up on the mutated shamblers that follow the storm of the hunt. But first, let's read through some more entries that might pertain to Whitaker's Call. The locomotive. The locomotive is a large, segmented, train-like organism that can only be seen by animals and human children. It is known only to appear after nightfall, after the 21st of December. Homeowners affected by the locomotive often report the floor rumbling at night, distant whistling, snow falling in strange patterns, or missing children. Danger. The locomotive is harmless to human adults but can prove particularly harmful or even fatal to human children if they choose to enter its domain. Children bearing sufficient faith are known to return the following morning, however. Solution: there is no known solution for removing the locomotive from an occupied area while it has stopped. However, the locomotive only remains in one location for a few minutes at a time to attract its prey, before it will move on to other territories on its own. To prevent harm, children and pets should be supervised or kept indoors. Well, this is just the Polar Express. They home safe to fight Tom Hanks. Yeah, I really like the image for this. It does strike me as a sort of desperate capture of the supernatural. You can kind of see what the entry was talking about. Snow falling in strange patterns. Very cool. The Sinner. This sinner is a large bipedal goat-like creature known for breaking into homes and devouring human children, usually arriving after a snowstorm has passed. Homeowners often report the sounds of chains or hooves, broken doors or windows, and missing children. Danger. This sinner is highly dangerous to human children that cross its path, and is known to ravenously attempt to devour them on sight. Human adults that are too large to eat are not usually at risk, unless they attempt to come between this sinner and its feast. Solution: the sinner will not enter the homes of those with a gift from the saint at their doorstep. As such, it is highly advised to not remove these gifts on the night of a snowstorm. The sinner will continue to move from home to home once it's successfully fed. I was wondering when we would get a home safe to fight Krampus. I love this image. It just makes no sense to me. Why is the sinner a Aquarian? Oh, well, hold on. Maybe I'm not looking at it right. So those two glowing orbs are its eyes, reflecting in the headlights of the car. So it's got a deformed face, a very deformed face. Oh, that's actually friggin' creepy. This is the most despicable of the hazards, one of the few that specifically, consciously targets children. If only I had a big two-handed sword and an arm cannon, I could make short work of that bastard. Sorry, I'm being presumptuous. I assume everybody knows who Krampus is. So Krampus in modern American culture is seen as a horror icon, opposite of the Jolly Santa. But it stems from a plethora of European traditions. In some, Krampus is the sort of enforcer to Santa. Santa does the giving of gifts, and Krampus does the giving of coal. But in others, Krampus steals children who are naughty. He is one of the more iconic Christmas figures, right behind Santa. Home Safety Hotline masterfully builds upon that sort of frenemy rivalry between Santa and Krampus. In The Sinner's Solution, a home marked by a gift given by the saint is safe from his attacks. In other words, a home marked by that who gives will ward off the wrath of he who takes. But I mean, who is this saint? Well, we'll learn of him soon, but first, let's go ahead and address Whitaker's call. Oh, okay, I think we have what we need. We've got Avalanche, the Hunt, the Sinner, and Locomotive. The Avalanche would have a far different aftermath. The call would just be different. It can't be the Hunt because Whitaker saw the neighbors talking to the police. They're not mutated. Oh yeah, he calls them godless Hendersons. So maybe this is a hint towards the Sinner? Or the Locomotive. If you remember, children who have sufficient faith may return from their locomotive trip. The fact that the Hendersons may have a secular household might have something to do with their child remaining missing. How did I not notice that? Good catch. If we misdiagnose Whitaker's locomotive problem, we get this consequence call.
Hey, we got your packet, and it's garbage. I still don't know whether or not there was damage done to my house. I'm hearing now that several kids in the neighborhood are either dead or missing. So if that doesn't say serious earthquake damage, I don't know what does. I'll be taking my business elsewhere.
So the consequence call for Whitaker alone is pretty mundane, but it seems that since misdiagnosing the call, more children have been found to have gone missing. Let's go ahead and get the second half of the Sinner. The Saint. That's real neat. You can hear him on the other side of the door, muffled, putting down some sort of bauble or trinket. Now let's go ahead and read his entry. The Saint is a warlock, sometimes resembling a bearded elderly human male, adorned in thick robes, often seen riding a pale horse-like creature. The Saint is known for traveling through snowstorms at night, leaving strange artifacts on the doorsteps of homeowners. Often, the Saint's arrival is followed by the Sinner shortly afterward. Danger. The acceptance of the artifacts granted by the Saint by bringing them within one's home can often result in the gift receiver experiencing great fortune and luck for a span of 30 years. After the 30-year period, the Saint will return to collect their due. It is not advised to accept these gifts. Solution. While the Saint cannot be prevented from delivering their gifts, homeowners can simply remove the gifts from their doorstep and burn them outdoors to prevent accidental acceptance. It is, however, highly advised to wait until the morning after the following day to remove these gifts. This is, of course, referencing Santa Claus, Nicolaus, Father Christmas. I'm reminded of the Dutch horror movie Sint. It was the first time I was ever introduced to the idea of an evil Santa. So we've got the Saint and the Sinner, both opposites in name and in roles. The Saint gives and the Sinner takes. Although the Saint both gives and takes. I'm assuming after 30 years, the Saint comes back Green Knight style, not only to take back the physical gift, but also a return for the fortune they gave you. It's also pretty cool how the Saint is considered a warlock. So we really only have 3 entries in the category of warlock. We have the Warlock Remnant, which is just basically what happens to a warlock after it dies. I imagine this can apply to all warlocks, saints and mountain included. The Mountain Warlock, which is a specific discipline of warlockdom. And then the Saint, a unique, named or legendary warlock mob. Here's his loot table: the Cube of Despair, Spirit Orb of Magnus, Vampiric Crysknife, and PlayStation 5. Again, I do want to point out, Home Safety Hotline advises against disposing of the Saint's gift the night you get it. This is because the Sinner will not enter a home that has a gift in front of it. So definitely do not dispose of the gift the night of, but I would even go an extra step further and just keep it there, not in the house, but keep it on the porch for the entirety of winter, because you never know when another storm will come. The Saint might arrive, but you might not get another gift. So just to be on the safe side, strap it down to the porch so that nobody comes and takes it in, but you'll still have that protection against the Sinner. Let's take another call, this time from Nick.
I have been robbed. Someone broke into my house and completely cleaned out the fridge and cabinets last night. There's wine all over my floors, discarded milk jugs. It's absolutely disgusting. I demand a refund for this useless home security package you people sold me. It's only good for hearing thieves cackle after the fact.
What do you mean, Didn't somebody in the base game complain about thieves? In both cases, they cleaned out the area they were affecting, a common hob. And look, they drank the milk. That's what you have to leave out to placate the common hob. Final answer. Is it? No, of course not. Common hobs aren't known for laughing, and beyond that, common hobs clean as in tidy up. This hazard cleaned out the kitchen, meaning they ate and drank everything, in fact leaving a mess of empty containers. This is a band of Yulemen, right? Yes. Cool. If we misdiagnose Nick's Yuleman problem, we get this consequence call.
The thieves, they came back. There's so many of them. I'm afraid to leave the cover. Please, send help.
Even if the Yulemen themselves aren't any danger, if Nick has children in the house, their presence could attract the ogress. Still gotta be terrifying seeing all these tiny, pointy-headed gnomes ransacking the joint. Now, let's go ahead and dig more into the effect that the hunt has on those who ingest its spores. The Wight. Wights are misshapen, former humans that have been exposed to the effects of the hunt, coming in a variety of unfortunate bodily configurations. Wights are known for their wild and unpredictable violent behavior. Homeowners experiencing wights often report sounds of gurgling, coughing, or hacking. Danger. Wights are highly dangerous and will attempt to bite or otherwise harm most humans and animals on sight. Their relative speed and strength can widely vary, though most direct encounters are fatal. Solution. Wights generally have short lifespans and will often perish on their own, usually within 48 hours from medical disadvantages granted to them by their particular bodily configuration. More persistent wights can be removed with the use of any nearby sharp implements, licensed firearms, or through Home Safety Hotline's pest control services. So a fungal Yuletide apocalypse. Oh, that'll ruin anyone's Christmas. The moral of the story is, stay strapped. I find it funny that all these undead shamblers can be dispatched with weapons and guns, whereas reanimations from the base game can only be disabled by appealing to the necromancer that rose it in the first place. But yes, this is the partner in crime to the hazardous hunt. Belsnickel. Belsnickel is a human-shaped, pine-based life form that is known to visit on winter nights, adorned in animal furs and a wooden mask, bearing a friendly visage. Homeowners experiencing a Belsnickel often report break-ins, finding berries, sap, pine needles, or scratch marks on the floor, or dead pets. Danger. Belsnickels do not possess any mortal harm to humans they encounter, but they are known to occasionally lash out at those they perceive as wrongdoers. Their presence can be highly hazardous to any furry mammals or pets in the house, should they require more pelts. The berries they occasionally leave behind are both safe to eat and delicious. Solution. Belsnickels will usually pass through a home and move on to others by the end of a single night. Multiple visits to a single home are rare, but more persistent visitations may be a sign of troublesome moral activities occurring inside the home. So this hazard is both an appraiser of morality and also a giver of gifts in the berries. That's pretty standard fare for a Christmas personified tradition. However, skinning animals is a bit of a wild card. This could be a reference to the actual Belsnickel, a both mean and giving fur-clad enigma, in this case the fur coming from housepests. The Gift Hag. The Gift Hag is a humanoid creature somewhat resembling an elderly woman with a smiling face covered in soot or soil. It is known to quietly slip into homes during the winter and often leaves behind trinkets such as makeshift dolls, wooden idols, or sharp twigs and rocks. Danger. The Gift Hag and its gifts are mostly harmless to humans, though careless play with sharp rocks and twigs can often result in human children injuring themselves. Solution. If homeowners wish to keep the Gift Hag from entering their home during the winter, they may choose to close off access to the home's chimney. Something tells me this Gift Hag's bark is worse than her bite. You'll find it interesting that out of all the hazards, she seems to exclusively come in through the chimney. Perhaps you can also diagnose a Gift Hag problem with sooty footprints around the house. The closest inspiration I could find to the Gift Hag is the Italian Befana. But gift givers and old ladies are so ubiquitous in folklore, I'm sure you can find many similar traditions. Perchta. This is by far probably the most fucked up of all of them. Perchta is a large, humanoid creature vaguely resembling an elderly woman with a beak-like nose and long, sheet-like skin. Perchta is known for entering homes full of refuse, chaos, and filth. Homeowners experiencing Perchta often report break-ins, nightly sounds of clattering, and shed skin on the floors. Danger. Perchta is incredibly dangerous to homeowners inhabiting its chosen domains, as it will often utilize nearby humans as makeshift scarecrows to keep other pests at bay. Most human adults do not usually survive this process. Solution. Perchta cannot be easily or safely removed from a home it has claimed, so it is advised for homeowners to immediately evacuate the premises if Perchta is suspected to be present. Homeowners are advised to prevent Perchta from being attracted to their homes in the first place by keeping their homes clean and free of filth. This, to me, is the most freaky entry picture in all of Home Safety Hotline. You can legit make a good horror game purely off this picture alone. She almost reminds me of like the Resident Evil 7 characters, that sort of weird projected on look to their face. I don't know, it's very good though. Ooh, and I'm just noticing, much like our Hobbs, this Perchta might have a false face. We can see two glowing eyes in the shadow of the neck. The hand seems to be gesturing to obscure it. Maybe that's where the true head of the Perchta is. Sometimes it's better to target the torso instead of the head. Keep this in mind. Not for this game, but for another game. The real-life Perchta is a bit of a ubiquitous tradition. Some forms of Perchta are of an arboreal goddess, some a curmudgeonly old lady. Home Safety Hotline seems to be inspired off of a more fear-driven tradition of the Perchta that gives silver coins to do-gooders and cuts open the bellies of naughty doers, stuffing them with straw, just like in the Home Safety version. Of course, in Home Safety Hotline, we skip the silver coin and go straight for the evisceration. We get a call from Ray.
It's in my cornflakes. It's in the ceiling. It's in my coffee. God, it's in the wallpaper. Oh, please, make it go away. Make this godforsaken demon go away.
Please hold.
That's phenomenal. It's in my cornflakes. What's wrong? There's nothing on this entire list I can comedically incorrectly guess. Nothing remotely similar. I mean, I guess I could guess Sinner. They're both goat-themed. But when's the last time you've seen this fucker jump in somebody's cereal? Wrongy, you gotta chill the hell out. If you haven't noticed, you've been carrying me here. You wanna just team up for this one? I wouldn't want anything more. Yule Goat? All goat of Yule Goat. While it's quite obvious, the consequence call is quite interesting. I'll go ahead and guess cloche for the wrong answer. A goat cloche.
No. Help. The demon. It's still here. I see it. I see it everywhere. I hear it. I hear it inside my head. Get out. Get out of my head. Please. Get out of my head.
So clearly Ray has succumbed to the Yule Goat. What's interesting is how Ray's fate goes exactly how the entry for the Yule Goat says it will. A household accident, such as a fire. Maybe there's something to the hellish goat that has an affinity for starting fires. We get our next call from Kathy.
Everything is sinking! Please, send help!
Alright, this one's easy. An avalanche. Wait a second. Okay, you want to check to make sure it's a mountain warlock or something? You're guessing cloche again, aren't you? You do this every time. You get obsessed over a single entry. Ever since you and I started working together, you've denied just because you like saying a word, but I know it's always correct. I know cloche. I had a buddy in Cloche, Chester, Cloche, Connecticut, who had a cloching store with a cloche problem. He had to cloche down. It's a cloche. Shit! Avalanche. Final answer. Well, if we were to misdiagnose Kathy's avalanche problem, we would get this consequence call. Brutal. Not much to glean from here. We get another call from Hudson.
Hudson here. Pay attention. I've got word from the boys that the Mouse King was last seen wearing a disguise. I repeat, the Mouse King has gone incognito. Be on the lookout for any conspicuous individuals of a rodent-adjacent variety. Hudson out.
Something tells me we're going to need to keep this in mind. Now that I think about it, the entry for the Mouse King wasn't very helpful at all. Maybe Hudson is giving us an extra hint.
Hey, I think some kind of wild animal's in my house. Our poor wooden floors are scratched to hell and back, and there's a bunch of sap and needles and stuff littered around the place. Please, could you send somebody over to find this thing and get it the hell out of my place? Hey, sit quiet, boy, sit down, hey!
Emphasis on the dog? The sap is a giveaway. Belsnickel? Belsnickel? Credit to Dorothy's voice acting. This consequence call is legit hard to stomach. Like I said in the past, I'm aware many of you listen to these videos while your hands are occupied, so I'm going to make an executive decision to describe instead of play. Dorothy calls us screaming. The Belsnickel has murdered her dog. It's actually just occurred to me now, she screams, "It's gone." She's not referring to her dog, but her dog's skin. That piece of shit glorified potpourri mannequin f***ing flayed Dorothy's family member. Flamethrower.
Douse them in flames in the name of Christmas.
Sorry. I just finished ending A of Fear and Hunger, and I'm in the conviction arc of Berserk, so your boy's going through it. So forgive me for wanting to see some of these damn monsters burn. Now these consequence calls are going to get even darker. With one exception, I'll still play all of them out, primarily because they're not emotionally pungent. Conceptually though, they are still dark. Darker, even. Speaking of which, we get another call, this time from Laura.
Please, you have to help me. I think my husband has joined some kind of cult. He's not acting like himself lately, and I found what looked like satanic symbols in the attic, along with what looked like a scarecrow in the center.
Please hold.
It's not like we're gonna have two Belsnickels in a row, right? Nah. And I don't think the bitch stinkle even targets adults. What about Perchta? Now, this call would sound a lot different if it were a Perchta. Yeah, it's obvious, but it's good that we show our work. Hans? Hans? Where is my Hefeweizen? 1 second they're screaming at each other, next second they're joking with each other. I don't get these guys at all. Now, if you remember, Hans possesses people to commit all sorts of evil acts. So, if we misdiagnose Laura's problem, we get this consequence call later in our shift.
Salutations. My wife spoke to this line earlier, and I'm simply calling you back to assure you that everything is fine here in our household. There is no need for alarm. Please, allow us the pleasures of peace and solitude. Good morrow.
That's creepy. I wonder why the possessed husband is speaking so old-timey. Could it be that he's possessed by the soul of Hans von Trotha? Probably just adds to the flavor of that disturbing call. Let's proceed.
Our house is falling apart. The floorboards are cracking, the doors aren't closing properly, and nothing is draining anymore. Something very strange is happening, and I suspect it has something to do with my neighbor's renovation project. I've been seeing people hauling around giant rocks all week. Who knows if they damaged something on my property?
Clearly this is a foundational issue. Sinking foundation? It could be. But she mentioned people hauling around giant rocks. Dwarves? Yeah, I think so. Dwarves. Not cloche? No! So it's okay. I'll guess cloche for us. If we misdiagnose Denise's clock problem, we get this consequence call. This consequence call reminds me of the overall angst of the base game. If you don't say bye to your life, you'll still have to say bye to your home, which sucks. To lighten the mood, let's take on this next call from Georgia. This one's a trip.
Someone stole our competition out from under us. I know it's those no-good Derricksons. They've always been jealous of us taking the annual Grand Gingerbread Master Award. Oh, rather than improve their own skills, they decided to break into our home last night and steal our post office. I found poor little postman Peter collapsed in pieces on the floor, right next to a big hole with the burned remains of our post office inside. The police won't don't do anything. Can you come and perform a citizen's arrest?
What the fuck? I have no idea what this could possibly be. Okay, I'm stuck. All right, so it's a gingerbread house. Post office. Right, gingerbread post office. It was targeted. Maybe a sugar wisp? It's as if somebody possessed by the sugar wisp gobbled up the entire gingerbread post office, and in some sort of post-munch clarity, burned the remains. Yeah, it's like he's cleansing himself of the crime. I like that. Very forensic. But what if the criminal were not a mere human, but a gingerbread man? That would be a cool idea if there was a gingerbread man entry. The gingerbread man is a humanoid object. This is an animation. Really? The entry for the animation doesn't give us enough info, but this sticks out. Most animations will depart or collapse on their own after completing their intended function. Maybe the burnt post office served as some sort of purpose to this gingerbread man. What it was, we don't know. But upon completion, it simply crumbled. Well, I hope you're right, because I want to hear this consequence call. If we get George's animation problem wrong, we get this call.
They're alive, and they're taking everything! Housewarming party! No! Come back!
I made that! With these!
Alright.
And ginger! And holy water!
This wasn't...
And bread!
I love this consequence call so much, and the fact that it was initially blamed on some sort of jealous conspiracy reminds me of that desk hob consequence call in the base game.
It wasn't Bob from accounting! It wasn't Bob at all!
So good. Now, we get a very strange call from Wade.
I'm not sure who else to call about this, but, something very weird is going on in our neighborhood. Some strange man in a large trench coat and Halloween mask is going around ringing neighbors' doors, carrying some kind of paper or notes. He hasn't come to my house yet, but I'm very afraid of what they might be up to. Pepper, stop scratching the door. He's going to think we're home.
Maybe... What you thinking? The Saint? Makes sense. It's standing in the doorway. He's got a list, too, reminiscent of Santa Claus's naughty and nice list. Saint, final answer. Wait, why am I in front of the incorrect gameplay? No! What if this was the Mouse King? What? Think about it, righty? The cat is reacting quite negatively to whoever's at the door, and while our entry for the Mouse King is unhelpful, Hudson called us this shift, warning us about disguises. This is a bunch of mice standing on each other's shoulders, in a trench coat. Perhaps the list they're carrying is a list of home safety executives, and they're going house to house looking for them for revenge. If we misdiagnose Wade's Mouse King problem, we get this consequence call.
He's at my door. The trench coat man. The info you sent didn't help, and now he's here. The least you can do is stay on the line with me while I get rid of him. Sir, kindly get off my property now before I... Pepper, what are you doing? What the hell is going on?
So while we juggle our auroral doom, we have a rodent revolution in an attempt to cheese the means of production. Listen, I don't blame the mice for having a score to settle with Home Safety Hotline, but this Twilight business is going to screw all of us, rodent and man, if we don't solve it this Christmas. Perhaps a temporary cheese fire is in order. We get another call, this one from Porter.
I need you to send out someone to change out our locks. My mother-in-law has finally gone far enough, and I've had it with her. I don't know how, but I think she's managed to get a copy of my key to come in and leave these creepy little dolls for my kids at night. I saw that old bag myself on the security camera. It's a bit fuzzy, but I can make out those crony old arms of hers.
Is crony an adjective? Well, anyways, Righty, Righty, you alright? It's Christmas. What's wrong with you? I don't know. Perchta, I don't care anymore. I don't know if it's a colon hob or a rectal Belsnickel, but something's crawled up both your asses. Sort this out, because tomorrow's gonna be when all this comes down on our heads. Righty, Your cheer is a matter of life or death for the rest of humanity. What's eating your Gilbert grapes? It's Christmas Eve, and we're out here working. Where's my eggnog, my holiday ham, my Christmas tamales? Well, the season's not only about reveling, it's also about giving. We're giving our time to protect humanity from the twilight. Well, it's hard to think about that with your creative interjections. Okay, I'll follow your lead, but don't let me down. Mother-in-law, he said? Yeah, he mentioned a crony arm, probably meaning he was able to make out a wrinkly arm. The only two options that remotely fit are Perchta and the gift hag. The giveaway is the gifts this so-called mother-in-law is leaving the kids. So gift hag, gift hag. And if we don't correctly guess the gift hag, we get this consequence call from Porter.
Thanks for nothing. That old crone is still sneaking into the house, and now she started taunting me, putting these sharp rocks all around my bedside. I stepped on one of them this morning and ended up in the ER. Now I have to sue my mother-in-law for these hospital bills. Thanks for adding more family drama to my holiday season.
Yeah, so not only do you have an ER visit, which is of course painful, stressful, and expensive, then you've got a family lawsuit in the midst of Christmas. That will demolish any hope of cheer in that family, especially because the mother-in-law is innocent. What a nightmare. But of course, that's not what really happened, because with the help of righty and wrongy, we got a perfect score, meaning that our cheer levels, which is essentially our health bar, will be nice and full coming into our final shift, Christmas Day. Before moving on to our next shift, I want to give some big Fanart shoutouts. Big shout out to Mel Malahi for this striking Disco Elysium inspired bit of fan art. I love it. I wonder what skill this could be associated with. Shout out to Ashley for this very nifty sketch of a peacock with his feathers decorated in the various symbols of my past videos' topics. And huge shout out to Uncanny Time Candy for this really cool whiteboard redraw. Now listen, I love all fan art equally. However, I have a special love for this sort of new idea of redrawing my final whiteboard into artistic renditions. Obviously, a lot of work went into this, so big thank you. Shout out to Here Are Dragons for this fan art inspired off of the Immortality skits, featuring Detective Vidocq and Detective Photographer Forrest. 2 of everything? I'll take 20. Night and Starlight has returned with a banger. A banger in progress, but a banger nonetheless. Taking the colored feathers of this channel's mascot and decorating some of them with the animal counterparts of the early channel lore characters. I'll have to create some more characters to fill those in. Speaking of returns, Catherine has returned with the really cute little cross-stitch of the channel mascot. To put this on an amulet, I'd buy it. I wonder what the stats would be. As always, big thank you to all the fan artists. If you ever want to submit fan art, the best place to do it is through email at flawpeacock222@gmail.com. Now, back to the video. It's a new shift, and it's December 25th, Christmas Day. Let's go ahead and check our emails. Home Safety Hotline Observatory, Daily Twilight Report, December 25th, 1996. Phenomena sighted across all northern territories at approximately 0600 hours. Estimated proximity is around 10,000 miles. Currently feeding. Current risk profile very high. Increased levels of cheer spreading is highly advised. Home Safety Hotline Observatory. The picture is quite dire. We can see the twilight looming over not forests or mountains, but homes. This paired with the simple statement, currently feeding, is painting a horrifying image. An image we're already familiar with since we've seen the game over screen. The twilight is at hand. We get one last email from our seasonal coworker, Rodney. From Rodney. Merry Christmas. Hey, what are you doing here on Christmas, dog? Unfortunately, we both know why. I'm sorry this always falls on your plate, Becca. Especially with all the extra madness going on at pest control this year. Today's gonna be a rough one. Here's hoping to see you tomorrow, dude. We all have you to thank for this past year. Rodney. With Rodney's words of encouragement in mind, we clock in. Our interface reminds us it's Christmas. What's wrong with you? In this final shift, we have no new entries, just a gauntlet of calls. Despite us correctly guessing the Mouse King call, Hudson gives us a troubling update.
Hudson here. We almost had him, but that little royal pain has given us the slip. He was last seen hightailing it towards the head office with his swarm in tow. I repeat, you have a whole gaggle of mice coming your way. My boys are coming in to break the walls down. We're gonna seize the king no matter what. Tell your buddies up at IT they're gonna have plenty of work ahead of them tomorrow. That's how it has to be. Hudson out.
I love how this sounds like the premise of one of LPC's prank calls, but it's perfectly in context for this game's plot. And now we also have one more call from Christmas the Carol.
Greetings, Rebecca. I'm certain that you've seen the skies today. The light's gaze has fallen upon us. I'm calling to wish you and the rest of the caller response team the best of fortunes. I know I need not remind thee that this day is one of great import, and is to be treated with the utmost gravity. Spread much merriment, and cheer to all you can, and I hope to see you all on the morrow.
There's something very well done about this final shift. You feel both the urgency of the Mouse King in tow and the looming twilight. It's do or die. It's time for the Christmas gauntlet. Our first call is from Deborah.
Some Christmas-hating hooligan has broken into our house. I heard them fiddling around last night with God knows what and came downstairs to find they disappeared. They even drank all the milk we left out for Santa. Thankfully, my kids are none the wiser.
Hey, that's pretty cool. Yeah, it's cool. It's like the common tradition of leaving out milk for Santa interfacing with the common hob solution. Well, that's fun. Common hob? Yeah, common hob. And the consequence call?
What is this thing in our house? I saw it hide behind our couch. It's hideous. Come and get this little thing out of our house this instant.
Regardless, sadly, we can't remove the hob. She's lucky it hasn't become a boggart yet. Let's get to the next call.
Is it normal for a northern lights to show up in broad daylight for us folks in Texas? The sky's been looking real strange all day. Could a power plant be leaking nearby or something? Looks like the sky went all radioactive, if you know what I mean.
Northern lights making their way down south? Twilight, right? Twilight. It's cool how these calls have actual context to the days we get them. Oddly enough, the handful of Twilight calls we'll be getting tonight won't have consequence calls. Perhaps the Twilight is so effective at feeding that its victims don't have a chance to get to the phone. Not sure. And this could also be for gameplay pacing reasons as well. I won't get into the weeds of that. Let's just hope that with our correct answer, our Dale is doing okay. And we take our next call.
They tried taking my baby.
I boarded everything up. But I think I made them mad. I hear something coming. Something coming from the mountains. Listen to this.
You have to help me.
Doesn't look like we have any network access. I forgot about this game mechanic. Coming from the mountains, so a mountain warlock. I don't think so. That was stomping, not chanting or rumbling. Ogress? Yeah, that would make sense. She said they tried to take my baby, and so we can infer that whatever they did caused damage that she had to board up. So she was terrorized by the Yule men, and now an ogress is coming to take her baby. Yeah, ogress. If we answer Stella's ogress problem incorrectly, we get this call.
It's here! Careful! It's my baby! Please, you have to help him! You have to send some!
Oh, that's brutal. So it seems that if the Yulemen fail to kidnap the children, the ogress takes matters into her own hands. I almost wonder if the Yulemen are like the Hobbs from Fable, kidnapped children metamorphosized into Yulemen. A scary thought. Up next in our gauntlet, Shep.
There's a nudist in our neighborhood. I contacted the authorities about this pervert crisis, but they told me to call you instead. Last night, I saw my neighbor darting through the neighborhood completely in the nude. The pervert looked like he was terrified of being caught, as he's right to be. I need you to send someone over to arrest this nuisance right now.
Well, this could be a madman running through the streets. The Hunt? No, she would have mentioned a storm or the deformities of the Wights. Well, streaking is pretty debaucherous. Maybe he's possessed by Hans? Ooh, clever. But she mentioned that he was also terrified. Then it's gotta be the Yule Cat. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot they have that cloth and textile diet. If anything, the neighbor was probably doing what the entry suggested, placing food for the Yule Cat in the nude. If we guess anything except Yule Cat, we get this consequence call.
What is this
That's horrifying, but also a big cat sounds adorable. Actually, never mind. Based on how my cats treat lizards, maybe the similar size ratio to a Yule cat wouldn't call for a cute cuddly moment. Next call, Jeffrey.
Oh, thank God you answered. I don't know how long we have before the power goes out again, but please, you have to send somebody out here. I'm at 451 Grover Lane. The storm is bad. It's really, really bad. And my mom got caught in a storm on her walk, and now she's in pain. I didn't know who else to call. What do I do?
A storm. Well, a sinner... Damn it. Another network issue. Well, he didn't mention kids, so sinner would be a no-go. You know, I recall the hunt also causing electrical outages. And his mom being out there would set up for a pretty brutal consequence call. Rongi, stop using game sense. It breaks immersion. Hunt? Hunt. Rongi's intuition was correct. If we do misdiagnose Jeffrey's hunt problem, we get this nutty consequence call.
I don't know what this information you sent me means, but hurry and send somebody over, please. They're trying to come in. There's so many of them. Mom! You're awake! What are you doing? What happened to your face, Mom? No, Mom!
It's heartbreaking. Of course, his mother was out there, and so she was infected by the fungal spores. Heck, even if we got this right, which we did, it would serve to save Jeffrey, but only if he can drive himself to neutralize his now white mother. Brutal.
We need help! I think we're caught in an avalanche! I don't know what to do! Everything is shaking!
I'm open to avalanche, but run that back one more time. On it.
We need help! I think we're caught in an avalanche! I don't know what to do! Everything is shaking!
Mountain Warlock? Mountain Warlock. And this consequence call is creepy. If we misdiagnose Theodore's Mountain Warlock issue, this happens. It's just so creepy to me because we don't hear Theodore's voice. It's as if the Mountain Warlock killed Theodore right after he dialed our number. It's just freaky. I love it. Next caller.
Hey, yeah, there's something real strange happening outside our house. The sky looks all green, and I have a bad feeling about it. A real bad feeling.
Another Twilight? Why not? Don't overthink it with game sense. It's Christmas. It's only natural we're going to get a bunch of Twilight calls. Final answer. And just like with the Texan, even if we get the Twilight call wrong, it doesn't have a consequence call associated with it. Next call.
There's someone trying to spy on my son Richie and I. Just the other night, while it was raging outside, some prankster with a death wish came to our door and just absolutely hammered on it and left before I could answer. This kid left some kind of weird-looking orb on our porch, so I punted it into the trash. Probably some kind of spy camera to case the joint with.
Pretty obvious this is the gift-giving saint. Well, good thing Joseph didn't bring the orb in, or else he'd be in for a rude awakening in 30 years. Ooh. Do you think that because he kicked the orb off his porch, it could lead to a sinner attack? Oh shoot, that's right. The sinner doesn't target those who have the saint's gifts on their porch, and typically comes to neighborhoods after the saint arrives. Tricky. I still think saint is the answer. I'll follow your lead. Saint, final answer. This next consequence call is very dark and disturbing, but it's got a lot of details we can't just miss out on, so let's play it out.
It ain't Richie. I saw it with my own eyes, oh God! I can't get it out of my head! It was the devil! The devil, I tell you!
So this might be a bit puzzling at first. If the answer was the saint, why was the consequence call the sinner? Rongi and Righty already mentioned it, but the immediate danger of the saint is not the saint himself, but the sinner that follows. If we were to diagnose the call correctly, the info package would have informed Joseph to put the strange orb back on his porch, but not bring it in the house. This will save his son from the immediate danger of the sinner, and Joe himself from the delayed 30-year danger of the saint.
Some kind of insane drunk man is in our neighborhood, limping around and trying to bite people. Please send help over. The children can't go outside anymore with this lunatic lurching around and chasing the neighbors while wearing this stupid little reindeer headpiece.
Well, obviously it's an antler growth, right? Crap. We can't confirm because of our network errors. What's weird is, and this is based on my recollection, the antler growths don't lead to overt hostile behavior. Maybe the unbearable discomfort and the fact that the growth is likely stabbing into the brain causes, I don't know, some sort of insanity or psychosis? Yeah, let's not overthink it. Antler growth. The consequence call for Beverly's antler growth problem is oddly tame.
What is this garbage info that you sent us? And what does it have to do with getting rid of this insane reindeer man? I don't even know why the police told me to call you in the first place. If no one wants to do their job, I'll have to do it myself, darn it.
So she goes doom guy on the poor bastard. Next call.
Hello? Are the lines still open? We just spent the night in our bunker during last night's storm, and it sounds like a ghost town out there. It's dead silent, save for the sound of some wandering souls coughing their lungs out. Did the commies drop a deuce on us? Please confirm. Over and out.
Is the twilight making people act strange? Well, he mentioned the storm passing over last night. He isn't describing the current twilight. Oh, duh, it's the hunt. Hold your horses, though, because the hunt is over now. He's now describing coughing people, so Wights. Final answer. As far as I can recall, this is probably the first badass consequence call we've gotten in Home Safety Hotline.
They breached the bunker! I repeat, they breached the bunker! Buckshot, you are radiated freak!
So Woodrow, Bill from Left 4 Dead style, goes out in a blaze of glory blowing the heads off of the Christmas Wights.
What's happened to my husband? I came home from a trip and... Oh God, it's horrible! The police won't do anything. Please, send someone. What kind of sick person would do something like this? There's so much blood and straw. So much straw.
Hans? Damn network errors. Maybe. Blood and straw works, but there's no talk about possession. Something happened to the husband. So Belsnickel, that would also explain the straw. Well, the Belsnickel targets animals primarily, sometimes children. These are fully grown people. Oh, duh, it's a Perchta. Oh, geez. Yeah, that makes sense. So Dennis has sadly come across his husband, likely already killed by the Perchta. Either flayed or stuffed with straw. Oh boy, I wonder what the consequence call entails.
Why did you send me this? Why won't anyone just help me? I can't bear to look at my husband like this. I can't bear it.
Regardless, it's sad that Dennis is a widower, but I'm somewhat relieved that he didn't also get targeted by the Perchta. Well, that's what memory wisps are for. Where were we? Oh yes, our next caller.
The lights. They're so beautiful, yet I feel so empty. So empty.
Oh, come on, don't insult me with this. It's obviously a twilight. Although, well, hold on one second. You were second-guessing yourselves, thinking it might be a night wisp. Good news, that's not an option. Yeah, I was thinking about that sort of lulling possession aspect, but clearly, it's a twilight. Again, no twilight consequence call. Let's take another caller.
My Greta! She's gone! The police won't do anything, please! You have to help me find Greta! Last night someone broke into the house and took my baby! By the time I got to her, it was too late! I saw them jump out the window! I think they might have been an escaped prisoner or something! They were carrying chains!
Chains? Kidnapped kid? Shit, that sucks. Fucking sinner. I'll summarize the soul-crushing consequence call. If we get the call incorrect, the disappearance of Greta remains a mystery to Mariah. She lashes out at us before sobbing sorrowfully, saying her daughter's name. The heartbreaking detail is that even if we get this call correct, which we did, canonically, it doesn't change the fact that Greta is likely dead, eaten by the pocket cat of the Home Safety Hotline universe. We answer our penultimate call.
I think there's something wrong with our heating system. We have all the windows open right now because we're just boiling alive. I've gone to the basement to manually turn off the heater, but somehow it keeps getting turned back on and cranked up way too high.
So it's definitely not snow golems. Yeah, the last thing they'd want is heat, but what is this? You think it might be a boggart? It could be one way how it starts its house fires, messing with the heaters, It's also not a far stretch from them messing with the electricity. Maybe we were on the right track. What hazard specifically increases the heat in the home? Oh, dwarves. It's odd that she didn't mention any noises in the basement, though. Yeah, this definitely was a toughie. If we don't guess dwarves, we get this consequence call.
The rocks are alive. I saw them move. They have little pickaxes, and they're digging some kind of hole down there. Send help. Send help.
I'm just wondering how she missed them to begin with. Short, earthen beings in dark basements would basically require you to roll high perception to detect. But still, you'd think she would have tripped over a pickaxe or hole and mentioned it in her initial call. Oh well, we just have one more call, and it's...
They're getting closer. I can't bear it. I can't bear it. I can feel it. It's coming for us. For all of us.
Please hold.
Twilight? Skycloche. Twilight. And of course, since it was a Twilight, we don't have a consequence call. One thing I found interesting in my Wrongy playthrough is I used the critical cheer immunity option, and it seemed that when you finish the game with low cheer, the interface does this really cool glitch. Maybe it indicates that you're one wrong answer away from failure. Not sure though, because it only happens on that final call. In that playthrough, when I answered the last call, it went away, and it really does feel like you just avoided a catastrophic event. But regardless, because we had the help of Wrongy and Righty, we absolutely aced this seasonal shift. Some of our colleagues touched base with us.
Hudson here. First off, you're welcome. Me and the boys had to make quite a mess to do it, but we finally done it. Yeah, that's right. We got you, Your Majesty. The rest of them scattered to the winds as soon as we captured their not-so-mighty leader. Spread the good news around the office and maybe call the IT department, some carpenters, and a plumber as soon as you can. Pretty sure that pipe is gonna burst one way or another anyway. Happy Yuletide, season's greetings. Hudson out.
I love Hudson. Call a plumber as soon as you can. Man, LPC, what a legendary pull when it comes to voice work. But yes, Hudson and his cadre of pest control specialists finally hunted down the Mouse King and captured him. Surprised they're keeping him alive. We got one more call, and it's from our dear leader, Christmas Carol.
You have worked the miracle once again, Rebecca. Thanks to you, the Lights Watch has passed over us once again. You are truly a lifesaver. As a friendly reminder, the office Christmas party begins on the morrow, so we had best see you there. May the Yule shine upon thee and be ever merry, Rebecca.
Off we go to the Christmas party. In other words, the credit sequence. We get to see Rebecca and Rodney for the first time, and Rodney looks exactly how I thought he would. It's very nice seeing Carol in the flesh, instead of in the bark as we saw her in the base game's ending. And look, she gave Rebecca one of those druidic nature crystals, the final coupon prize from the base game. How sweet. This ending sequence has a certain warmth to it, but I won't lie, when I first got to this scene I was fully puckered, waiting for something dark and grisly to go down. Pause here. Do you see anything? A common hob. Oh boy. In this next photo we see Hudson himself, either buzzed on Nog or locked in, looking for something afoot. Is that Nick, the developer in the background? Homie jacked my style. I'm just kidding. Real recognizes real. This next picture is great too. There's something so wholesome about doing karaoke after evading the end of the world. We're out here Yakuza maxing. Oh shoot, I almost didn't catch it. The common hob rears for a great leap and ambushes the cameraman. We fall to the ground, chaos ensues, and we are taken under a stampede of our office partying. We can see Rebecca look at us in horror while Rodney kicks an office chair for some reason. And then our co-workers help us up, and the party resumes as planned. Hudson, what the hell are you doing? The dude's full-blown hob handling. Do you want boggarts? This is how we get boggarts. Okay, enough over-explaining this sequence. I love how tightly gripped he's got the hob. The night ends with Rebecca getting absolutely shittered. And you know what? She earned it. And so concludes our gameplay of Home Safety Hotline's DLC, Seasonal Worker. Ah, come on. Do I really have to erase it? So that's that. The twilight has been vanquished. Because of the diligence of Rebecca, humanity can see another Christmas, another New Year's, another Halloween. But let's not forget that this world itself is quite hazardous. While Christmas is saved, the housing market is a different story. Let me just go ahead and erase this for you. Not a good multitasker. Oh yeah, that's a good one. What I find kind of interesting is the whole concept of a seasonal worker in Home Safety Hotline. I imagine that they want to tie loose ends anytime somebody is fired, laid off, or quits. But I think based on what we saw with Rodney and Rebecca and their reputation, having consecutive years serving as seasonal workers, perhaps these seasonal workers of Home Safety Hotline are a special trusted class of employee. But that's that. Christmas is saved. All we have left now is for my final thoughts on this game. Is there any grand narrative to this story that requires my comb through? Probably not. But I love this game, and it's my sleepover. I get to decide what we play. But it's October. The brisk chill of the winter is on the horizon. Halloween's around the corner. While a lack of cheer won't be any sort of immediate danger to humanity, I think what we can learn from this great addition to Home Safety Hotline is the importance of cheer and merriment. In my very light research behind the traditions that inspire the hazards of this game, I noticed a pattern. Societies of old, both small and large, formed traditions that merged their faiths and beliefs with the importance of trust and merriment. Much, but not all, of modern society has the means to resources to ward off things like the cold, the heat, famine, and disease. But what gives us angst in the modern world is still very much real. Economics, uncertainty, health. So please, if it's as simple as lighting a candle, saying a prayer for the dearly departed, or something major like spending time with friends and family, or decking out your home in decorations, handing out candy this Halloween. Let's not forget the little things that make each year special. Now, the next two videos are going to be the Robert Chambers novel, The King in Yellow, and Signalis. So it might be some time before you hear from me again, for those are heavy hitters. Until then, happy Halloween, ma'asalama, sudesutun, hasta luego, I'll see you soon. A well-earned coffee break. Well, I'm glad I could help. I wonder why all these European Yuletide hazards are coming to the United States in the fall of all seasons. I don't know. Global warming? You're going to tell me about your dad before things went crazy. You know, forget about it. Don't even worry about it. Listen, John, we're going to be working together for a while. I hope we do at least. We're going to be dealing with some sensitive stuff. I want to make sure if we do run into something, we don't reopen any old wounds. I want to be able to have your back, because I know you'll have mine. Okay. My dad, he had plans for me. I was set to inherit the family trade. The trade of favors, as my mother called it, but it was a criminal business. But it wasn't always a business, though. It started out as a charitable fraternity of sorts. Started by one of my distant ancestors, born in Patara, off the coast of Turkey. Every generation a boy who was chosen, allegedly by God, to live a life full of charity and servitude. But over time, each generation strayed from God's path. Charity became investment. Investment became loaning. And loaning became, well, vig, right? Like The Sopranos. Loan sharking. But my dad was different. He was scum. Because there was no pretense of a loan, no pretense of needing to pay him back. He would give you a gift, money, a fucking shoulder to cry on. And randomly, he would come back and ask for some sort of repayment. With some ungodly compound interest. What a schifuso. Well, I wouldn't have known, because you turned out to be a saint. Well, that's not all. He had an enforcer, my dad.
piece of shit would kidnap debtors' children. And he didn't even do it for money or some sort of pretense of omerta loyalty. He liked it. He liked kidnapping children. Of course, my mother didn't want me raised around that crap. That devil. So that's why I was raised here. Now, hold on, your mother taught you all of this? Only the essentials. The rest she kind of dressed up in vagaries. I learned most of this through the internet. My dad, he actually died earlier this year. But it feels like, ever since he passed away, I feel less safe. I think it's because... you're next in line. One second. Lay it on me. 2 houses right next to each other. Yeah, we could split the work up. Alright, sounds good. 2 more assignments. The nice thing about having a partner is if we work together and split up the work, we can clock out earlier, but we still get paid the same. Oh. Second thought, you might want to sit this one out. What? Why? Missing kids. I don't know, it might hit too close to home with the whole... No, Clarence. Let's not be driven by fear. Alright, well luckily, if dispatch is correct, these hazards aren't going to be dangerous, at least not to us. Yeah, Clarence? I've checked all of the foliage. I'm not finding any feet or pieces of clothing. Alright, look around for any strange artifacts. Artifacts? Like, on the front porch? Yeah, sure. I mean, not exclusively. If it's not a false rose bush, it's probably a false artifact. Specifically listen for buzzing noises. It was probably a false artifact that took one of those kids. You got that, Jacinka? Jacinka? Hello?
Mikolaus! Krampus! Ah! Enough games, Miklaus. You look just like him.
No, I don't.
You don't seem to understand, Miklaus. It's in your blood. You will give, and you will take.
I will not serve you.
Miklaus, you fool. I'm just a lowly employee, reclaiming his prodigal supervisor.
I won't do it. I'd rather die.
I won't allow that. Consider this your journeying out. Enough struggling. You're coming home, Miklaus.
I'll break both our minds then. The business will die with us.
Maybe if you had stayed with your father, you'd have learned some mind-breaking spells. But alas, you're a bland, magicless warlock.
Not entirely.
What? Miklaus, you must understand. I have your best interests at heart. What's this? Magic.